Midnight music. 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 Midnight music.
All right. I'm surprised Taquan's not here yet. I know. Where is this kid?
Yeah, so we have
Christ, what else is he doing in
yeah,
college?
we have this fan named Taquan, and he randomly found us on a Twitch
Ruthless.
stream, and he just loves to berate Will the I'm gonna call you Will the White at this point, Will Tarashok, Will the White and Will the Gray, because Lord of the Rings references, but he loves.
Ah, I'll take that. I'm the
Yeah,
white.
you're the
I like it
White.
better.
Sorry.
Ricky, when I told you I bought that sword, I scrolled through. I saw Gandalf's staff for 225. I was like, fuck! I already put the order in.
Oh, so you made the order?
Yeah,
Damn.
the staff would have been so much cooler.
Yeah. How,
So Will the Grey, I am the biggest Lord of the Rings mark. Like I probably love Lord of the Rings. Actually, I don't love it more than wrestling, but it's pretty close.
it's up there.
I'm into it. I'm a Tolkien guy. I'm not a wild get into the whole canon and the lore behind what it is. But I do consider myself a little bit of a Tolkien mark.
It's total Tolkien mark. He's yeah. I tried reading the 12 it was 12, now it's like 16 part anthology of like all the history and the lore. I got through 2 books and I was like my mind is melting out of my ears. I'm so confused. But it's excellent.
It is so worth it. Hello, Mr. Frats. Yeah, we're gonna have a fun show, and then next week's gonna be an even more fun show. Don't say anything, Will. Either of you wills, even though only one will knows that this is really gonna be hard this week. It's gonna be really
Yep.
hard. Oh my god, I really should have thought that through. But as we know, Kyle from Apron Rump is gonna come on, and that's gonna be a little bit easier because it's gonna be Kyle, Will, and myself. And I just might call Kyle just Wheeler Yuta the whole time because he looks like Wheeler Yuta.
He's 100% Wheeler Yuta. That's exactly who that is.
Yeah, Tarash.
Anybody who says otherwise is lying to you.
Wait till you see him next week. Will you're gonna be like, oh my god, he looks just like Wheeler Yuta. He's gonna roll his eyes, but he's gonna accept it.
Can we tell people what is Wheeler Yuta?
I haven't designed the promos yet for social media, so we could.
So I have my work friend who's like that one as well as that one person at work who's also a wrestling fan.
Yeah, there's always one. You just gotta find them.
So so her and her boyfriend are pretty big wrestling fans. And they went to a bar to watch WrestleMania.
Wow.
And her boyfriend was getting upset because people were like, "You look like Drew McIntyre," and she showed me a picture, and he looks just like Drew McIntyre. I'm like, Drew McIntyre is like sexy, right? Like, why are you offended by this? Like, I wish you looked like Drew McIntyre.
She was offended that her boyfriend looked like Drew McIntyre.
No,
Oh.
no, the boyfriend was offended.
Why are you wait?
Because
Why is he
looked like Drew McIntyre.
offended? That's a
That's what I
compliment.
said. I'm like, bro, you got your priorities mixed up. She was just like, she was about it, obviously, because Drew McIntyre is a sex symbol.
Is he as tall as Drew McIntyre, or just like? Oh, okay. Oh,
No, no.
oh. So
He had the beard and a big chest, so and the long hair, the beard, and a pretty big
okay,
chest.
so close, kinda. I've seen Drew McIntyre personally. He is a massive man.
Yeah,
Like just
Yeah, he's not a small person
No.
by any means.
Brett, you would look like Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys. That's 1,000% on point.
Oh my god, were we at a? It was our first Evolve show when we saw Drew. That's when Drew was running the Indies for a while.
Yes. Oh my God, in that hot Long Island
The
warehouse.
NYWC, yes, the New York where K
Yeah.
Murphy got trained, yes.
We met Gargano. We met what's his name, the guy from England.
Oh well, it was Osprey.
No,
No, it wasn't.
Was
No,
it Will
wasn't. No, it
Ospreay?
wasn't Osprey. My fault.
no, it's the guy that's like all like the
Oh God, what the hell's his name?
this flexible guy.
Oh,
He has
Saber.
3
Saber.
names. Yeah, Zack Saber, whatever his name
Zack
is.
Saber Jr. Really nice guy.
That's the one. And Joey Styles wearing a Hofstra jacket.
Yeah, because he went to Hofstra.
I love that.
Really?
Yeah. He represents. So our seats for this Evolve show was right in front of the commentators. One being Joey Styles before he got kicked out of Evolve, and Joey Styles is an absolute riot.
I love Joey Styles. He's
Also
one of my
kind of an
favorite
He
commentators.
is kind of a dick, but he was an absolute riot on commentary that night.
Well, it's so hard. It must be hard to commentate ECW. This in general.
Yeah.
But 2, it's hard to do it alone.
Yeah.
He had Rick Rude for like a month or 2, and then Rick Rude's just like, I'm gonna be on TV. I'm gonna be on in the ring forever.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on TV on 2 different Monday night shows on the same night. No one's gonna notice. Or did he do? Was he the one that did 3?
It was 3 technically,
Yeah.
right? Was it 3? Because Raw was taped, ECW was taped, obviously.
And WCW was live.
Was he in all?
I know he did 2. Because I know Rude was on. He was on Raw. He was on Monday Night Raw and Nitro on the same night.
No, Raw. Rick Rude appears both on Raw and Nitro on the same. That was Raw and Nitro.
Yeah.
I think like the same week.
The same week he was on ECW.
Mike
Something
Awesome
like
also
that.
had a stand where it was like that as well, where he was on a taped house shows for WWE, WCW, and ECW, all 3 in the same week.
That's amazing.
That is crazy.
That is.
There's only a handful of guys that did it in that time, and Mike Awesome is also one of them.
Mr. Awesome and the Awesome Bomb. What a guy. What a guy, Mike Awesome. I was just like, why do I feel like they're doing a Dark Side of the Ring on Mike Awesome?
I think they are.
I think that's season 4, yeah.
I know they're doing one on Matt Bourne, which is Doink the Clown. They're doing Abdullah the Butcher. I'm 90% sure it's Mike Awesome. Who else were the other ones?
Chris Candido, and Sonny.
Sandman.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Sandman will also be a great one because when you get into like the Surfer Sandman on the early like Eastern Championship Wrestling days, like he's always been wild. It was just like the slow progression of how wild Sandman decided to be.
Yeah, Magnum TA is going to be another one.
Is Sonny
That'll
still
be a
in
great
jail?
story.
Yes, I believe Sonny's in jail for something she's done recently.
It's probably for the best that she's not part of the Candido episode because she cucked him so hard.
Sonny is just not well overall and hasn't been for a while.
It's a damn shame, dude, because she was such a great talent for doing literally nothing.
She was the most downloaded girl on the internet in '97 for great reason.
Yeah, but how much competition did she really
That's
have
what I
on
mean.
the
Like, right?
internet
How many
in
people had the internet in
97?
'97?
Or the ability to digitize pictures at that point.
Tallest kid in kindergarten, I guess, still counts.
It
for
still
something.
counts.
Yeah.
Still counts. Sold a lot of magazines, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
she did. And she never did Playboy, I believe, for WWE.
That's like he's the most popular entertainer in the metaverse. Cool. Who's on the metaverse right now?
Could
Zuckerberg, and that's it. Like a couple of his friends.
Yeah, the Zuck.
and Tom from MySpace. That's who's on the metaverse.
Elon Musk, Tom, and Zuckerberg are all just hanging out in Meta, like in a big pissing contest.
Oh, Taekwon's here. There you go. We weren't going to start the show without you, Taekwon. Wow, I didn't. Well, you know what, Will Gray, you do look like Zach Galifianakis a little bit.
It's the beard.
It
and
is the
glasses,
beard and the
for
glasses,
sure.
yeah.
I get Zach Galifianakis a lot, and I get Seth Rogen a lot.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's just that, like, hairy Jew thing, I think. That's all it is, really. We just kind of all look the same. I think there's a stereotype somewhere about that.
Something like that.
I grew up with Harry Potter. That's what I grew up. I was like, look like Harry Potter.
A little bit, yeah.
That was mine. So, cool.
Yeah. I got Notorious B.I.G. for a while and then it evolved into Keith Lee. So.
Yes. Well, luckily you're not gray, so you don't look like,
Oh my
like him
God, thank
anymore.
God. Jeez.
Keith Lee when he was still cool.
Yeah.
He looks. He looks
looks yeah, he looks awful. He looks tired.
He looks sick.
He looks sad. Like
I genuinely hope he's okay.
I don't think he is.
He looks like everything CM Punk was pissed off about after All Out if it was a person. I'm old, I'm tired, I'm hurt, I work with a bunch of damn kids. That's what Keith Lee is physically manifesting now with his new
Yeah. Pretty much. He's just like it just went downhill for Keith Lee fast.
I love that man too, and it makes me so sad. Even when he came over to the main roster and the stupid Bearcat stuff, like, and I get the homage and the callback to Bearcat from the '60s and the '70s, 100%. But that wasn't them letting Keith Lee be Keith
I
Lee
agree.
when he got over, and it was
I
just
completely agree.
it was such a bad case. I call it the WWE identity crisis, where they'll take an established star and try to repackage them for the main roster, and it just doesn't work. Keith Lee, Karrion Kross, Finn Balor, Piper Niven turning into Dewdrop. Like, we keep seeing it over and over and over again.
Yeah, there was a.
I understand Vince wants, his own creations so we can own it. Like, business sense, it makes sense, but it's like, bro, there's other successful things than you.
Yeah, no, there was definitely for a long
People
time.
have other ideas.
There's definitely for a long time a communication issue between NXT and the rest of the company, because Vince actively did not watch that, which was a horrible mistake on a lot of occasions. Absolutely horrible, and that ended a lot of careers quicker than what it should have, and surprisingly, some people survived. Like Otis, somehow, surprisingly still entertaining. It is fantastic. But Will, are we all set up? Or sorry, Will the White, are we set up? It's gonna fucking suck.
Yep. It's gonna be a rough one, that's for sure.
It's gonna fucking suck. The Tale of Two Wills. I should have called this episode Between Two Wills.
Between two wills.
Yeah.
I feel so stupid.
Why?
That's a really good TikTok. So
Between Two Wills?
Rick Seidberg. Jazz is like applying for new jobs.
Okay.
And she has sent a TikTok saying it's a life hack. You can ask them beforehand to send you the interview questions.
Ooh. Interesting.
Yeah, right. Like, have I never fucking thought of that?
Yeah, that's.
Huh.
Actually, 512.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that's much better.
Yeah.
Um,
Also,
okay.
interesting thing that TikTok told me. So Ritz crackers.
Yeah.
Ritz,
Yeah.
yes.
So how they're like they have the rigid edges.
Uh-huh.
That's by design. It's to help you cut slices of cheese.
That's
It's
cool.
for like cheese and crackers.
I like that one. It's designed to cut cheese and also be That's a good, very sanitary. That's a good
So
one.
you
I like
take,
that
like-
one. I like the job
Okay.
questions one better, but that's
you
a
take
good
a
one.
slice of you take like a slice of American cheese and you literally can use the cracker to cut it up so you can get cheese and crackers with every piece of your cracker.
Huh. Ingenuity.
Right? And they never really told anybody. Also, McDonald's fries are made with they put beef flavoring in their frying oil. That's why they taste so good.
Okay, here's a tangent. On Botched Pots and Chair Shots, I'm a chef by trade and a mark by choice. It's not just a gimmick. I was in the industry as an executive chef for 15 years.
Oh, we're gonna talk
I'm
about
not
that on
lying.
the show.
I'm not lying to you when I tell you that at one point in a restaurant, I had an owner partner of the restaurant who insisted we do a 50-50 split with our vegetable oil on our deep fat fryer, and the other 50% was straight duck fat to make duck fat fries because of how rich and delicious they were, dude. I'm not even kidding. The idea of adding beef fat to a fry doesn't surprise me at all.
Wow. That's amazing.
That's real life. Like, I will tell you, like, the idea of adding beef fat fries are a thing if you go to a bougie enough steakhouse.
Or McDonald's, apparently.
Or apparently McDonald's.
All right, let me start the recording over. I should keep that, but like, we're 2 minutes and I'm like, I'll start over at this point. All right, starting in. Actually, let me do all these extra tracks because I don't get later. Right. Ready?
I'm ready when you are.
Last thing I need is 4-track 1 through 4s in my timeline over here. All right, take 3, starting in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Midnight.
Coming up this week on Kings of the Wings podcast, Will Gray from Botched Spots and Chair Shots podcast comes to join the other Will on the show on Between Two Wills this week to discuss a couple of things like AEW's new partnership with new partnership with Twitch, AEW's supposed rumored Saturday show, and of course, who wore it best, Brock Lesnar or Trish Stratus. So sit back, relax, and make sure you don't get stomped in the chest by Draymond Green. It's Kings of the Rings podcast, episode 337, the Botched Spot featuring Will Gray exclusively here on Wrestle Addict Radio, and it starts right now. He didn't hit him that hard, too, by the way. I saw the replay. Sabonis is a bitch. Yeah, Draymond did not deserve to get suspended for that. I'll argue that for the next 2 weeks or so. Ladies,
He did grab his leg.
he did grab his leg and didn't allow him to move. It's whatever. Well, okay, we'll suspend Draymond because he had priors. Anywho, folks, welcome to episode 337 of the Botched Spot of Kings of the Rings podcast. Of course, I am your host, King Ricky Rose. We are between two wills, or I am between two wills this entire show. This is going to be really, really exhausting. We have Will the White, who is with us. Will is 6 days without an incident, so congratulations, Will. But more importantly, as he said earlier in our pre-show, he is a chef by trade, a mark by choice, the host and writer of Botched Spots and Chair Shots podcast, and probably the most important thing, he is a cancer survivor, so congratulations to that. Ladies and gentlemen, Will Gray. Will, how are you?
I am glad to be here. I appreciate it to you guys at Kings of the Ring and the Wrestle Addicts Radio for having me and allowing me into your space. Like I say in all my profiles, man, it was a long battle, but I beat cancer and I laugh about it now because that's all you can do.
Yeah, damn right. Damn right. So it's going to be great to have you on the show. We got a lot of interesting things to talk about, a lot of business wrestling stuff to talk about, too, especially because Will the White, as we're going to call Will Tarashak this week, love to talk about WWE and their really, really interesting business endeavors. And
I'm jealous, dude. I'm so jealous of how they conduct business. I wish I could do that.
I think we all do. But before we get into all that, Will the Gray, since this is your first time on the show, you get to play
the first guest game
hosted by the other Will. So this is going to be really, really interesting. It's going to be Will versus Will on the first guest game, and it's about to start right now.
First guest game, the questions every wrestling fan has to have the answer to. So the question number one, Mr. Gray, how did you get into professional wrestling?
The way I got into professional wrestling, it goes back to the old days of Saturday morning. I would go to my grandmother's house in the late 80s, and we would hang out and we would watch the early days of WCW tapings and NWA tapings, and the very, very tail ends of Georgia Championship Wrestling in that 88, 89, 90 range.
Ooh.
How old are you?
38 years old.
God damn, bro, you look 28. You look my age.
Yeah, you look great.
I appreciate the shit out of that, man.
Yeah, like whatever shampoo you use, whatever you eat down there in Tennessee, like, don't stop.
Fried chicken and biscuits and like that's it, man.
I dead ass thought you were my age, so incredible. All right, your favorite wrestler currently and your favorite wrestler of all time.
My favorite wrestler of all time is Mick Foley.
Nice. Long Island boy.
Amazing.
I say there's a point in wrestling history where it's not necessarily about titles. It's not necessarily about in-ring work, and it's not necessarily about like mic skills. Foley is one of those guys where he's not anybody's number one in any of those key components as to what makes a great wrestler a great wrestler.
Yep.
But to me, Foley changed and revolutionized how people wrestled. And I think that's what makes him so important. I read his first book, Have a Nice Day, A Tale of Blood and Sweat Socks, when I was a wee kid. I'm talking like early teenagers. And from that moment on, I was a Foley guy. The Three Faces of the Foley, anything about it. But also in reverse, for the opposite reasons, my current favorite wrestler is Seth Rollins. And I recently wrote an article that said Seth Rollins was the Babe Ruth of professional baseball. He's one of those guys. He might strike out every time, every third time he comes up to bat, and Seth Rollins might take an L, 40% of his matches. But then you're guaranteed a home run and a grand slam, 50% of the time or whatever it is. And that's the way I feel about Seth Rollins. He can chew nothing but L's, just one right after another, and he's still just over all the time.
Seth Rollins was this close to having the worker's curse put on him, like where he's just so lucky and talented and deserves the fact that he's so charismatic and he can just change his character time after time after time. That's like he doesn't really need wins. To your point, like he can eat that L after L after L. He had the most losses out of like anyone relevant on TV last year, and we still put him in our top 5 wrestlers of the year.
Absolutely.
That's a skill. That's crazy.
Random statistic I put into that article talking about Seth was his lifetime career average. He's a 500 hitter, meaning he's lost as many matches as he's won in his entire career, and he's held a title almost 50% of the time. For active days in the ring, he's held a title. And think about, he went 4 years in WWE without a title reign.
Yeah,
like it's just crazy to think about like the career and trajectory he's had from Tyler Black in Ring of Honor to being the architect Seth Rollins today.
I do love that you said Mick Foley. Mick Foley may not be number 1 in the ring, may not be number 1 in the mic, but he is number 1 in our hearts.
absolutely. Bless that man.
Aww. The first Daniel Bryan, Mick Foley.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. All right, let's continue on, Will. Both Wills.
All right. The greatest match of all time.
Oh, that's a great question. I would say my favorite match of all time and what I consider to be the greatest match of all time is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Macho Man at WrestleMania. WrestleMania.
Great
3.
choice.
Great choice.
The reasons why is it wasn't the biggest story. You know what I mean? Hogan and Andre was always going to be the bigger story. But what made this match so important was, once again, it changed how wrestling matches were called. Because up until that point, wrestling matches, 98.7% of them were called in the ring. The guys were going out. They were running, a match, getting time cues, but that was it. Steamboat and Savage said, we're not going to be able to be the biggest match of the night because of the story, but what we're going to do is perfect. So they sat down and they memorized every single movement in the match, from rolling out of the ring to moving Elizabeth around. The build, Fretz is in the chat talking about how Steamboat got injured, and then George the Animal went after Miss Elizabeth, and then Macho Man went after George the Animal. Then Steamboat came back to save him, and it built to Mania. It was just chef's kiss. Perfect match, perfect story, perfect build.
The original show stealer.
Yeah, chef's kiss for real, because as Wilbur Gray kind of talked about, they planned everything out. And if you've ever listened to or heard Steamboat speak about that match, and Macho Man in and of himself, Macho Man was so meticulous with this match that it was literally like a numbered list of every move, every sequence that they were going to do, and he forced Steamboat to memorize it before WrestleMania 3. So they would practice, like, what is step 1, what is step 2, what is step 3, weeks leading into WrestleMania 3. It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Next question. If you were a wrestler, what would your finisher be? Describe it and give it a name.
If I were a professional wrestler and I were to use a finisher, it would be the traditional Jerry Lawler pile driver.
Nice. Still effective to this day.
You would think about the fact that if you look at where wrestling was at that point, you still, in the late 70s, there were still territories. There were 22 Vince McMahons at that point in wrestling. Yeah. I say that a lot. But the thing that made the Lawler pile driver so special was it had become such a protected finisher that the Tennessee Gaming Commission made it illegal to use in a match to like build the story and the lore behind it. So I think in true like Memphis wrestling style, as a Tennessee boy, I would use that Jerry Lawler just very straight stand up and drop pile driver. And that's what I would call it. It would just be called Lawler's pile driver. Just simple and pure and just to the point as to what it was, because if I used it, it meant business.
Dude, I love how there was just no hesitation. Like you knew the question was coming. You gotta have given the questions beforehand. Like,
no, I didn't give him the question this time.
That's the hardest question of the first guest game, because someone's like no one's ever thought about for the most part. It's like, if I was wrestler, what would my finisher be? What would I call it? Fuck, that's a good question. Yeah. And I go back with mine all the time. I want to be like a flapjack Batista bomb.
Pretzel in the chat says Foley's pile driver, though. The thing I liked about Foley's pile driver, he did like the draping pullover style where he
He'd
would
pull your
use his
pants up,
weight to
yeah.
go back,
Yeah.
and he would grab your trunks and pull your trunks back with you. Foley's was really unique. Lawler's, he would stand straight up and pick you up vertical.
He
and
would
then
hold
fall
them for
back
a
with
while, a
his
little bit
ass.
too.
Exactly. It was like a vertical position, and then he would drop into that really powerful sitting pile driver. It was just a work of art, man. I love Jerry Lawler's pile
Yeah,
driver.
here's a bonus question for you. So we know your finisher, but what's your wrestling name?
Oh, it would be El Pollo Loco. I would put my luchador mask on,
Nice.
and I would wrestle in a sriracha t-shirt and some gray sweatpants and some Chuck Taylors, and I would be the ridiculous wannabe El Generico. I would be the jobber that would take all the bumps just to make the crowds laugh, shake hands, kiss babies, and put the stars over.
Unbelievable.
I might have to make you in 2K23 as just like a jobber talent. In my universe.
Just everything's the most basic things about me, but for some reason you can't help but love me.
I never thought we would get a poor man's El Generico, but I think you have just created it.
That works. That works for me. That works for me. No complaints here. Next question. How did you find the podcast, the Kings of the Rings podcast?
It wasn't directly me this time, I don't think.
Yeah,
No,
9
we
times
have-
out of 10, twice on Sunday, it's Ricky.
Yeah.
But please.
We have overlapping circles. There's a few of them. We talked about one previously with Kyle from Apron
Yeah.
Bump. We've crossed paths with Matt from Smacking It Raw.
Oh, love those guys.
Oh, I love that guy. Yeah, the
So there
Smacker
were
Rock
some
guy's a lot of fun.
So there were some circles that overlapped, and I reached out to Mr. Fretz about coming on. I think if the order was right, I actually booked Mr. Fretz for my WrestleMania Night 1 like Fallout show before Night 2 started. Before
You did.
Ricky actually came on the show with me, because Ricky came on a few weeks ago after the fact. So I met Mr. Fretz first, then met Ricky. He came on the show. Then Fretz came on for the Mania Night 1 Fallout on Sunday. So I got on the Wrestle Addicts circle, so to speak, by two different points, through Mr. Fretz and through Ricky both.
Yeah, pretty much. We had a great conversation about the European title and the greatest European champion of all time, D'Lo Brown.
For
stop
sure.
Who's better than
Pretty Kyle was
D'Lo?
on
Don't
that
say
episode.
don't say
D'Lo
Bulldog.
Brown.
Don't say British Bulldog.
I was about to say British Bulldogs. Actually, no, not gonna lie. I watched that match the other night, Bulldog versus Owen for the first European Championship match.
Mm-hmm.
Watch it. It's a phenomenal match that takes place in Germany of all places. So,
As it should.
as it should. So yeah, I'm gonna say Bulldog. Fuck you.
Whatever. D'Lo Brown's better.
Speaking of fucking you, the last question of the first guest game, the most important question.
Yes.
Mr. Gray, are you Team Slack or are you Team Fuck You Slack?
Answer instinctively. We're not going to explain why we're asking this question.
I'm going to go with Team Fuck You
There we
Slack
go.
on instinct alone.
Everyone
because
does.
For some reason, I'm chaotic good in my nature. So that could be a good or a bad thing either way. So I'm going to go with Fuck You Slack.
That is the absolutely correct answer. Just to give you some context,
Sorry, Slack. One day someone who actually knows you isn't going to tell you to fuck off.
Slack's been one of our friends, one of our fans of a show from Canada, actually.
Yeah, click, clack, fuck, Slack.
Yeah,
is
click,
right.
and he was the first person years ago to give us a fan video shout out on Twitter. This is back when we were.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, this is back
He
when
was. He is technically pre-frets.
he was pre-frets. And he gave us a video. This is back when Will and I were in the same state, and our co-host at the time, Dave, we're all in the same state, in the same town, essentially. So we would record together, splitting a microphone with each other. And so we saw
was a
this.
nightmare.
Yeah, we saw this video, and we were like, we gotta roast him.
We roasted the fuck
We
out of
annihilated
him.
to the point where I was like, how is he still friends with us? Like, how does he still like us to this day? We've had us on the show a bunch of times. It's always like at a last minute, He's a good sport though. I'm not gonna lie. He's a good sport for all the shit that we give him.
He plays along. It's great. So we had him on for Slacksgiving and said happy birthday when it totally wasn't his birthday. We all totally knew it wasn't his birthday, but we all pretended like it was his birthday.
Slacksgiving changes. Slacksgiving changes every year, and every year on Slacksgiving it's his birthday. One year was Cinco de Slacko.
Cinco de Slacko was pretty good.
That's awesome.
Wait. All right, Ricky.
Yeah.
Next time, legit might be his 4th time being on the show. We gotta call it the 4th of Slack.
I like it.
I think that works, dude. Hey, it's the 4th of July. He's not doing anything. He's Canadian.
Yeah, they had their day 3 days prior. So
yeah, right. So I think we do 4th of Slack this year.
4th of Slack would be cool.
Even if it's not the 4th time, it's even funny. If it's the 5th time, it's even better.
Yeah. He's the only one that would know because I honestly don't keep count. We haven't had him on in a couple of years.
Remember, dude. We're actually on episode 337, so I got a botch for you on YouTube. It says 336.
Oh, is it? Does it say on which one?
Kings of the Rings.
Oh, okay. I'll fix it in post. Whatever.
Actually, and Wrestle Act Radio.
I'll fix it later in post. It's fine. Let's get into whatever. I can't be perfect every week. So yeah, let's get into this week of wrestling because there's going to be some interesting stuff to talk about. Most importantly, we're back to talking about Vince McMahon because it was revealed over the weekend that Vincent Kennedy McMahon, still somewhat the head of WWE, majority shareholder until the Endeavor deal goes through and all of that. I guess finally, due to public outcry, because someone had to tell Vince something, he sent an email to the entire WWE roster. We're assuming just Raw and SmackDown rosters, and the email pretty much stated, I am not in charge of creative. I have no influence over creative. Triple H is the end-all, be-all of the creative decisions for TV moving forward with WWE. So, Will the Gray, I'm going to throw it to you. Do you believe this at all?
I want to believe it as much as I can as far as it goes as the creative side of things. But you have to look at this from 40,000 feet on a corporate America standpoint. Vince being in charge of creative isn't what we should be worried about. It's Vince McMahon being the number 2 person in Endeavor behind Ari Emanuel is what we need to be worried about.
I thought he was number 3.
Because he's going to be, the way I remember hearing it break down was it was going to be Ari Emanuel, then Vince, and then it was going to be like Dana White over the UFC and the PBR guy over the PBR and Nick Khan over the WWE and the Miss Universe pageant people over them. And all of their little umbrellas have their president over each side of it. Vince, from my understanding, if it's changed, I'm not saying this is set in stone. Vince, my understanding was Vince was the number 2. He's going to be ultimately the board of directors for Endeavor. 11 seats on the board, 6 to Endeavor, 5 to WWE, and it goes from there. So I think the bigger picture here isn't necessarily Vince in creative. It's the idea that when it boils down to it, Vince is back in ultimate control, because with him having that power, he can forfeit and forego anything that he wants from the head of the seat as the board of directors versus just the head of creative. This is a much bigger worry for me than just him being, at Gorilla on Monday night.
That is a great point. Will Tarashok?
I say Triple H is in charge on paper. Like Vince may not have final say, but you know for a fact he has input. So from a creative perspective, yeah, his hands are still going to be in there. He's still going to do a bunch of shit. But if Triple H has the final say, doesn't matter. Honestly, doesn't matter. If Vince is saying, hey, Triple H should do this, what's Triple H going to say? No. Like, no, I don't think he's going to say that. I don't. It's his father-in-law.
I don't know, Vince. I don't know.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, Vince, like, Triple H is on charge on paper to get the marks and shut the fuck up. One thing I wanted to mention last week, but I kind of didn't get around to it, was, like, we all said Raw after Mania was terrible, right?
Yeah.
Because Vince was in charge. Raw to SmackDown after Mania was pretty good. People was like, oh, Triple H must have been in charge. Then the next week, Raw was, like, decent. They're like, oh, Vince was in charge of this, and Triple H was in charge of this. It's like, That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Do you hear yourself? So when the show's good, Triple H must be running it. When it's bad, oh, Vince must be running it. So really, this email means nothing because the internet's going to think whatever the fuck it wants to think anyway. So it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. Now, to his Endeavor point, I think that's very fascinating. I'm on the exact opposite. This man's the best businessman who ever lived. He should be up there. Fuck yeah, with his stupid mustache.
That was kind of the basis for why we did the deal.
Sex, Vince. Fuck's sake.
Yeah, that was also the basis of why he did the deal, because Ari was going to keep giving him some sort of power over his company, and that's all Vince wanted. To be honest with you, he found a way to circumvent the legal system yet again. Congratulations, Vince.
And he's going to be more involved with the business end than the creative end.
Yeah.
Yes, duh.
Yeah.
But to say he has no input on creative, I think you're a fool. You've not been watching the same product for the past 40 years.
Yeah. Yeah, wrestling isn't what it is today without Vince doing a lot of stuff that nobody was thinking of, because Vince, for some reason, had the foresight decades in advance for a lot of things, like a network and a big WrestleMania event and all of that fun stuff.
I would admit my bias straight up. He has every right and deserves it 100% to be exactly what he's doing, unless he does something actually illegal.
Yeah.
And then goes to jail for it. Not like this, oh, that's morally illegal, even if it was illegal.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's Vince for you. And speaking of the business stuff, and we have to double check, because I think there's a Mark Shapiro who's president of Endeavor that might be the second to Ari Emanuel, but someone might have to check this.
No, it's Ben Shapiro.
It's not Ben Shapiro. But be that as it may, there's also some talking about, speaking of the business part, that ESPN might be in the fold to start working with WWE again. Obviously, they have a work.
Dude,
work relationship with UFC.
This is what needs to fucking happen.
What?
Because once the CNBC or whatever Peacock deal is up, they may need a new partner. Which what they should do. Here's what they should do. For real. What WWE should do, if they listen to this, take this idea, please, because I want to pay for it. You have UFC on ESPN. You have WWE on Peacock.
Sure.
You ditch those deals. I don't know when UFC and WWE is up, so it probably can't happen anyway.
I think UFC has like a 10-year deal with ESPN.
In a perfect world where everything can happen the way I say it does, this is what I would do. You do a free tier WWE Network with a shit ton of ads like they do anyway on Peacock.
Yeah.
Throw in some UFC content in there too. You do a $15 a month tier where you get all WWE pay-per-views and what have you. Then you do like a $50 a month tier where you get UFC pay-per-views as well.
Ooh.
That's what I would do.
Ooh, that would have to mean that WWE would go over to ESPN.
Yeah.
Because UFC is locked in the ESPN.
And then ESPN could just make a new streaming service and call it TKO Network. Like their new business is going to be called. Well, it's just all WWE and all UFC. You can have Ultimate Fighter on there, all of Dana White's whatever he does on ESPN Plus. You can have all that extra stuff and the archives in one massive streaming platform, and then just tier it off based off pay-per-views or premium live events. Because you can still do you don't even have to you can give it the pay-per-view model too and charge $50 a month for the tier.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they do in less than 5 years from now.
I think that's because I would pay for that. I'd pay $50 a month for that, and I'd watch UFC. And because the crossover is gonna be
the crossover's already there with the fan base. So.
Exactly, the crossover's there with the fan base. It's gonna be there for the creative. It's there for business. It's just why not put them all in one in a killer streaming service? Even call it. You can take HBO Max. It's called Max now.
What about the addition? If you look at it if you want to add the ESPN to it, that goes into that whole Disney and the mouse realm of things.
Yeah.
So look at it from that side. If there's, the Comcast Universal stuff falls through in a couple years and they don't renew the streaming service, then you're right. Endeavor will need a new home for the archive and all the streaming rights and stuff. If UFC is already in bed with ESPN, that I would say would give the mouse the advantage on gaining the rights to the streaming WWE network stuff when the Peacock deal is done, because Endeavor and ESPN and UFC are already there. The odd man out with now Endeavor owning the WWE is Peacock.
Yeah.
Peacock is the odd man out now. So when that streaming deal is done, it's almost like, Mickey Mouse and Disney's just waiting for that deal to lapse so that Disney can pick those rights up.
That's exactly what I think is going to happen, because if we remember when WWE was looking to sell the network to which they eventually sold to Comcast Universal, ESPN was a heavy contender to take up WWE's content.
Yes.
The
They just didn't want no off season.
Yeah, the only reason they did not do it is because there is no off season, so they can't rotate their staff because they would have to have full-time coverage of WWE, and that's something they weren't willing to budge on. But I think now that WWE and UFC are in bed with each other, I think they will budge. I think they will budge because I think there's something even bigger at play if ESPN does take them over. Not only can you get UFC and WWE premium live events or pay-per-views all in one place, which would be the idea, but if ESPN takes over WWE, they could potentially make bank off of it, and they don't really need to make bank off of it because they're under the freaking mouse. But number two, we could potentially see for the first ever live streamed on cable TV, if it still exists, WrestleMania on a channel like ABC, because that's under the mouse too. It can be ABC, ESPN presents WrestleMania. That will blow, and it'll be one of the most watched events in history.
And you could still be able to watch it on the app,
Exactly,
the streaming app, and not have actual commercials. They do those video packages like Bianca or Asuka or Brock Lesnar or whatever. Instead.
Exactly. If I was ESPN, I'd do that.
Think about ESPN with their apps and stuff, with their multi access points where you could be on your iPad and one app watching the same experience from a different perspective than what's on your TV or on your phone. Like the multiple depths that ESPN, because if you look at their baseball package where you can see like live scorecards and pitch counts and everything, think about what they could do with that kind of technology, but used for wrestling.
Super kicks.
But also, like, think about how they do like the broadcast for like the college football national championship, where you have literally different camera angles, different broadcasts. Can you imagine?
God, dude, you have like the WWE kickoff show with like JBL on the the app, and it's like Stephen A. Smith and Charlie Caruso
Absolutely.
on TV
all day. But think about that. Imagine watching a stream of WrestleMania via a sky cam.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the visuals of that? Because they've done it before at like WrestleMania 33, they did in Orlando, they had a sky cam. But imagine having that sky cam footage for the entire show. You can watch somebody's entrance literally from overhead. It would be absolutely absurd, and no one would be able to do that other than ESPN and ABC.
Yeah.
It would be.
Hey man,
wild.
monopolies are cool sometimes.
Yeah, I like I said, it's not out of the realm of possibility that might be within the near future for WWE and UFC, is that ESPN just engulfs all of them, and it just becomes bigger than it already is. So
yeah, I think Vince is gonna be a little more concerned about that than what's Rick Boogs doing on SmackDown.
I feel so bad for that man, Rick Boogs. I feel so bad. Anyway, let's move on. So the King of the Ring tournament is no more, folks. Is also revealed over the weekend. Is that they have changed the name of the King of the Ring event, which is going to be in Saudi Arabia, to Night of Champions, because they got to use it. They got to use the name before AEW decides to take it and rename their Battle of the Belts. So, with that being said, Night of Champions is going to be happening Saturday, May 27th, weeks after WWE Backlash, which they are already building to, because that's like 2 weeks away. And it's interesting that they do Night of Champions, especially because if Sammy and KO are still the tag team champions, they're not going to be at Night of Champions.
Because
Sammy's Syrian, and he's not gonna be there. So I'm interested to see what they do with the Night of Champions, because Night of Champions is usually lauded as the night where all the championships are on the line, and clearly this is a bit of a conflict right now. So how do
is it legit? This is an actual question. No, I hope it doesn't sound ignorant.
Let's find out.
Is it legitimately dangerous for Sami Zayn to go there?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
If you actually look at it, he has never been to any of their events.
I know that, but it's like, it's not just a preference, like a personal thing. It's like legitimate anger and hatred. We want to kill you bad.
Yeah. So because
So it's like okay.
I think if it was just a preference, he would probably still go. But I think it's more so he has an actual fear of his life.
Okay, so it's very, very, very legitimate.
Yeah.
It's both. Fred brings up a good point. Sammy being Syrian isn't but part of the issue. It's the fact that he was also previously Muslim and then converted to any other religion, whether he's allegedly atheist or not. Once you're Muslim and then convert out of the Nation of Islam, because MVP has the same problem.
Yeah.
That's why MVP can't go to Saudi Arabia, is because he used to be Muslim and now he's not anymore. So Sammy has those same problems. You add the fact that Sammy is of Syrian descent on top of it, just escalates an already, vile problem.
Yeah. So it is very dangerous for Sammy, but all the other titles should be on the line. I guess.
Exciting.
Yes, and also Vicious and from Mr. Frets, Arn Anderson is managing Wardlow. Yay! All right,
That's cool.
Give Arn something to do. Congratulations for him. So Night of Champions should be an interesting show. And the other interesting thing about Night of Champions is that May 27th marks the 1,000th day of Roman Reigns' championship run. Exactly. Is on Night of Champions. Hence, I think that is the principal motivator for changing the name of the event.
Also, King and Queen of the Ring is such a stupid name.
It's just long.
It's too long. Too many syllables.
And it meant nothing.
And it meant nothing.
The last two winners proved that, and that's not a slight at all towards Xavier Woods or Zelina Vega, but neither of them won that award and then proved to be anything bigger than what they were. Xavier Woods was already an established star and needs that at least a mid-card singles push, in my opinion. Zelina Vega was kind of the same thing. She's one of those examples as to why the women need a mid-card title that isn't the tag championships.
Absolutely. It's like you get me, Will the Grey. It's like you really do. And also, we had Queen's Crown, and Queen's Crown was a great name for the female King of the Ring tournament. It's perfectly fine.
Queen's Crown is great.
Yeah, the issue with King of the Ring tournament, which never really was an issue, well, not really, and then Queen's Crown is that, again, like the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, it leads to absolutely nothing. What's the payoff? What's the incentive if you win?
A bad gimmick change for a few months.
Hey, Xavier Woods lived up to the King Woods gimmick as best as he could.
He got hurt, though. So yeah, it wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
It wasn't his
At
fault.
least it didn't change the whole way he spoke and use that stupid fake British accent like Zelina did. Like a cup of coffee, you know what I mean?
Like, Zelina, they colonized your people. What are you doing?
Zelina's from Queens. They colonized
Queens. They colonized Queens.
Listen, I love the
How dare you, sir?
I loved the Zelina gimmick because it was part trying to be a British knob, but also was part I'm still from Queens, New York. Like her accent would switch when, like, if she was like playing nice, she'd be all snarky. But then when she got mad, like the New York would come out. I'm like, there it is, and she couldn't keep it together. That was one of the best things ever. So, Night of Champions, aka the Roman Reigns Spectacular, which is exactly what it's going to be. Who even knows when he'll defend? Who even knows when he's going to show up on TV again? No one knows at this point. No one knows as at all. But let's move on to more WWE business. It was recently reported, as early as yesterday of this recording, that WWE has entered into a working partnership with Twitch, allowing their talent to stream on Twitch again. So after a long hiatus of not allowing their talent to be on Twitch, WWE has gone into a working partnership with Twitch where the revenue is obviously going to be split three ways between WWE, Twitch, and the performer. And the rumor is, I haven't read it all, and I think they haven't really come out with an actual press release from it, but the rumor is that the majority of the revenue created from these streams is going to go to primarily Twitch and the performer, with WWE getting whatever's left. So I'm assuming it's going to be like 40-40-20. I'm assuming the split's going to be.
It's just taxes. This is just WWE saying like, hey, you're using our likeness, tax. Which I understand, but I still fucking hate. because they're independent contractors. They shouldn't technically be allowed to do this.
Yeah, but the issue is it goes down to the contract that they signed, and
Yeah,
it's
no. We've had this conversation so many times, and I do flip flop back and forth a little bit because as a talent, like I say fuck this, but as a business owner, I go tax. Yeah, I'm using my likeness. Like I made you. What are you doing?
yeah. It's the reason Mandy Rose got canned.
Yeah.
This goes back to the WWE identity crisis that I was talking about. They'll take an established star and rebrand them with whatever name they choose, so that way they can continue to use it. And when that person leaves, Pete Dunne, for instance, they couldn't use that because if Pete Dunne comes to the main roster and then leaves, he can use Pete Dunne everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
So they changed it to Butch.
Which shouldn't be a problem. You know what I mean? Like that generally it's like that doesn't them holding them back if they leave doesn't make you more successful.
Yeah.
It goes back to the Jesse the Body stuff, man. This dates all the way back to what Jesse the Body and Vince had issues with in the 80s going into WrestleMania when they were trying to unionize the workers and stuff going into WrestleMania 2.
Yeah.
And the whole story was Hogan outed the union, and that's why Vince wouldn't let the wrestlers unionize then. And that's going all the way back to, 86?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this isn't the first time that the trade and the free trade commissions, the FTC and all of that has come into these monetized contracts because what you're saying, this has been the fight the whole time.
Yeah. So you're punishing me for being successful.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's
bad business. This Twitch thing, good business. Them just holding other people back because they think it benefits them or they want to protect their IP. It's bad business.
Yeah, I think it's more so just protecting the IP over anything. Hence, like both of you guys said, hence why they forced them to change their name, so they can make money off of it in perpetuity. And I'm thank God that a lot of people rejected their original names, like Stone Cold, who was going to be Otto Von Ruthless at a point in time, or it was like Ice McFreeze or something like that was another one.
Otto Von Ruthless, I'm not gonna lie. Like now that I think about it, that's like perfect 1996, just ridiculous wrestling. Otto Von Ruthless fighting Razor Ramon.
Intercontinental title. So thank
the
God.
Silly Man's title, hosted by Doink the Clown.
That's totally 95 WWE in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's perfect.
But yeah, so Migs...
It's so dumb, it's brilliant. No, it's just dumb.
It's just dumb. Sometimes ideas are dumb. Otto von Ruthless is a World War II Nazi heel. Is that true, Mr. Fratz? Because if that's so, that wow, all right. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Let's move on from WWE proceedings and go talk about AEW because they're also in the news. Rumored allegedly is that AEW is coming out with another television show. How they keep on getting these, I don't know. The rumored television show is supposed to be called Collision. It's going to happen on Saturdays from 8 to 10. And it's
in the morning?
No.
It should be. I'm actually low-key serious. They should do Saturday morning wrestling again.
Oh, that would be great. But no, it's going to...
Although the problem is AEW isn't for kids.
No.
Not at all. So that's the problem.
Not one bit. The rumored AEW show Collision, 2-hour show from 8 to 10, and it's going to be featuring which allegedly reported by Andrew Zarian of Matman, going to be a soft split, is going to be more of a hard brand split. So AEW is splitting into a Dynamite and a Collision brand, and the first thing that came to mind is, why the hell didn't they just give us the Ring of Honor? Because that's your brand split. You had the brand split.
The answer is Warner, I think.
Really?
If from what I understand, because I listen to Matt Man's full podcast because they're the fucking best.
Yeah.
But Warner doesn't see money in Ring of Honor. They don't care about Ring of Honor. They see more money in AEW, which I think they're correct. At this point, AEW is more valuable of a name than Ring of Honor to the general public and growth moving forward. Buying Ring of Honor was a mistake. Buying the library was the smart thing to do.
Yeah, which is
because you can't do that brand split because the TV deal doesn't care. They'd rather promote one business than two.
Which is crazy to me, especially because a lot of Ring of Honor's current roster was in AEW. Like, that was kind of the reason they had them over there.
That's why you buy the library. That's why you buy the library, so you can show that footage. But you don't need to buy the actual brand, too.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to
Because
buy the whole
look what
thing
he did with it. He can't do anything with it. He bought it. Here's the thing: he bought it not knowing what it wasn't worth.
because he was greedy.
Yeah, well, he wanted it. He's a mark. I don't blame him. I'm just saying. But like in terms of the business, he bought something without knowing its true value because he can't sell it now. He can't do anything with it. It's like an NFT.
Yeah,
It's only
kind of.
worth. It's only worth something. It's only worth something if someone will buy it.
The way I see it is that he bought it and did, because the thought was he's going to buy it and he's going to make something of it, and you were featuring ROH on Dynamite a lot of the time, and then he just put ROH back in the ROH corner. He's like, oh, we already have a streaming service. We're not going to do anything to enhance it. We're not going to do anything to make it better. It's just going to stay there. We're going to bring over some people that we don't feel can actually be on TV, Claudio Castagnoli, and say they're on ROH. You can see them if you can find them. I can find AEW Dark quicker than I can find anything Ring of Honor.
But I think a reason he's kind of in the corner, nothing they can do with it, because no one wants it. You can't get a TV deal, can't get a streaming deal. So what else can you do with it?
It's true.
What if they package it all together? What if Warner Brothers Discovery is sitting here and they've got this ace in their pocket because they know down the road AEW is going to pocket and bring everything together into one, nice, neat little blanket thing. So you'll get all of the AEW library, you'll get the Ring of Honor library, you'll get probably some form of pay-per-view streaming. So you'll start picking up all of these pieces. So is this just a kind of a waiting game here? Because when it boils down to it, you're right. We know Ring of Honor's not going to get a full-time TV deal. Ring of Honor could be AEW's version of like what NXT was when it was on the network. And then take the two networks, you take Dynamite and you take Collision, and you take this plethora of talent, this 140 person roster that they've got, and you divide it out. Dark and Dynamite go together, Dark Elevation and Collision go together, Rampage is the bridge between the two, and you allow some of these wrestlers to finally breathe, because you think about the fact 2 hours of live TV and then 5 hours of tapings between Dark Elevation and Rampage. Like that's not a lot
behind the scenes stuff.
And Ring of Honor's taped as well.
But just looking at the AEW brand, though, like that's not a lot of TV time for the amount of pure superstardom they have.
Yeah, no, that's true. And also, here's the kicker. The other news going on with this AEW Collision, and by the way, I think with all of our minds, we should just buy AEW and just do a better job with their branding and booking. But here's the other kicker. Collision initially is rumored to be centered around the return of CM Punk. And CM Punk is going to headline Collision along with wrestlers who also want to work with CM Punk, is how it has been. It's how it has been portrayed. Exactly. Listen, I mean, I know they are dying to want CM Punk back, but
they need CM Punk back.
Yeah, but as a probably a future host on the show, Mr. Warren Hayes said in a tweet that I highlighted for our tip of the crown, everybody wants CM Punk back until CM Punk does CM Punk, and CM Punk's everything to hell.
Yeah, everyone wants CM Punk back until he's actually back.
Yeah, no, that's bad. So, Will the Great, what are your thoughts on a potential umpteenth return for CM Punk?
I've said this everywhere that I've ever spoken about wrestling. I like CM Punk, the worker. I like CM Punk, the promo. I like CM Punk, everything inside the squared circle. However, you can't get CM Punk in the squared circle without Phil Brooks.
Yeah. I was waiting.
Phil Brooks he's proven time and time again, the indies to Ring of Honor, to WWE, to UFC, to being on the indies, to going to AEW, everywhere he's ever been. And this is coming from, a retired fuckboy. I used to be toxic as hell. I know these things when I see them. Like, you're not toxic everywhere you work forever, and then all of a sudden just stop being toxic.
Yeah.
That's great. I love how you've learned from experience.
I'm sorry. Like, I retired. I'm a good, honest guy now. But, like,
It is
if
straight
it
facts,
walks like,
though.
yeah, if it walks
Yeah.
like a duck and it talks like a duck, you're going to call the motherfucker a duck. I'm sorry, guys. Like, call it what it is, right?
CM Punk is just the perfect 10. He's the best. Phil Brooks is a flat out 0, and it averages out to a fucking 0. That's just, unfortunately, that's the reality. But I'll tell you what, once CM Punk's on TV, I'm going to start tuning in again. I turned it off when he left. I'm going to turn it back on when he's back. That's just the way it is. I don't know what to tell you, because he has to headline that UK show. He fucking has to. He just can't be against anyone in the elite. Maybe Kenny. I could see Kenny coming around, but definitely not the Bucks.
Kenny, it'll be Omega versus CM Punk in Wembley, because that's the biggest match they can give us.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, put it this way, Ricky. Money can make everyone's problems go away.
True. No, that's very true.
Especially if there's a beef.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's very true. I mean, bigger rivals have made it work. Brett and Shawn made it work for years. Okay, yes. Bigger rivals had made it work. I just hope Kenny's done making the video game. That's what I want to know.
AEW says they're done, but the company says they're not. I love a good pissing contest.
I've seen the videos they come out with. They are not done. They are not
the gaming studio is like no, not
done. Like done as in finish the game. AEW is like, yo, bro, we're done. Like 86 the idea. That was what they mean. But the developers are like, nah, bro, we're nowhere near done. We're gonna see this through.
He's like, we're finishing the game. Oh, I got you.
Yeah, they're gonna hold it ransom, the AEW Fight Forever game, and they're like, we're putting this game out, damn it. We're gonna put the game out.
Gonna be...
Like, hey, do you see this contract? It's fucking signed. You're making the game.
It's gonna be sold on Steam for like $5.
Jaguars instead.
We'll trade you the rights to the game for the Jaguars straight up.
Yeah, the Jaguars are about to be good in like 3 years. Watch out, guys. They have a great nucleus.
I do like Trevor Lawrence. I think he's getting better.
He's got a great hair. He's got a great head of hair on him. It's fucking fantastic.
I'm a Titans fan, so I don't give a shit about the Jacksonville.
Listen, you guys are gonna get a banging new stadium and potentially WrestleMania like 45 or something like that, which is in the works, apparently.
I can't wait, but your Titans got a long way to go before they're relevant again. I'm sorry to tell you.
I'm also a UT Volunteers fan, man. I am
you were almost
college
cool.
and NFL version of the Cubs. It's always about next year at this point.
Well, we're gonna.
Hey, even the Cubs won one.
We're gonna have to. So Will the Gray, you and I are gonna have to talk on the post show because go Gators. Anywho, the other thing with AEW Collision is I do have a question for. There is going to be potentially a hard brand split, and when I think hard brand split, I'm thinking program-specific titles. Now, do they go that far with it, including potentially a second world title?
There's nothing gets Tony Khan's dick harder than a new title.
Fair enough.
He's going to have new tag titles, new trios titles, 3 women's titles, a Jade title, and a world title, and an interworld title. It's going to be a core title, the Earth's core title.
The hottest title in the
It's going to be a giant eyeball, the Illuminati. It's going to be the Nick Khan title. It's going to be his dad's title. It's going to be a Saudi Arabia title. It's going to be a Japan title. It's going to be the title. It's going to be the belt title.
Breaking news right here on Kings of the Ring. Will and I just got the Will's title right now. We just got an AEW title.
The Will's title.
It's going to be a little daddy's bitch title. It's daddy's money title.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fuck Slack title. It's going to be everything. Tony Khan loves this show.
He just loves to waste his family's money on belts.
I mean, I don't blame him.
Titles on titles.
I love shitting on Tony Khan, but I also wish I was Tony Khan. I fucking love Tony Khan.
I wish I had Tony's Khan's money.
I do cocaine and run a wrestling company all the time. You kidding me? That sounds awesome.
He like hugs every person he signs, like at their opening press conference. With that cheesy ass smile.
He loves making announcements. I remember he wasn't gonna be on TV ever. He said that, and he got one taste of TV. He's like, I'm gonna be on TV all the time.
I love Tony Khan because he's at the level of rich where it doesn't even matter what he looks like. Have you seen his hair? He hasn't cut his hair in years. He's at that level of rich where it just doesn't matter what he looks like, what he wears, because he's that loaded. I also love Tony Khan's pompous arrogance. If you ever look at an AEW press release, it's like Tony Khan, owner, CEO, general manager, head booker of AEW and ROH.
Ass eater.
It's got like
But
subtitles.
it also, on those same things, it lists everything. So it's like the director of football operations for a fucking football club nobody knows anything about. My baseball analytics program that's used by the fucking AAA, Jacksonville Hornets or whatever they are. Like, he'll have everything, like my second grade teacher gave me a B+ in math. He's got the most ridiculous accolades on the press releases imaginable.
Oh my God, yeah.
I love Tony. I love him so much. Because here's the thing: for all of his positives and all of his flaws, he doesn't get in the way.
Surprisingly,
I really don't think he gets in the way. Like, I don't think AEW would be more successful without Tony Khan.
That makes sense.
He's like their Eric Bischoff, except Bischoff came from wrestling. That's the only difference.
Yeah. He's like Bischoff, Cornette, and Russo all in one.
Depending on the day.
Yeah.
That just sent shivers down my spine. Like, the IWC just imploded by you saying all three. It's like saying, like if you go into the bathroom, shut the light off, and you say Candyman 3 times.
Yeah,
real
right.
fast. You say all three of those names together. It's like the Southern wrestling version of the Candyman shows up in your bathroom.
They all got the friendship rings. It's like Cornette, Russo, Bischoff form together and make
Tony
Khan. The fuck?
What the fuck is this?
Name that Pokemon. Tony?
It's Tony Khan.
Oh my God. So yeah, AEW Collision probably going to happen before Forbidden Door, allegedly is the rumor, as per Mr. Fretz. We'll see what happens with that. It's going to be a very interesting time, especially if this show does come to fruition. Here's your wrestling schedule. All right. Monday.
I don't want to hear it. Stop.
No, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. Monday Night
you.
Raw and AEW Dark is on Monday. Tuesday is NXT. Dark Elevation's in there somewhere. I don't know where it is, nor do I care. Wednesday is Dynamite. Thursday is Impact. Friday is SmackDown and AEW Rampage. And Saturday would be AEW Collision and whatever WWE Premium Live event goes on Saturdays periodically.
This is bullshit, man!
I know.
This is too much, dude. It's too much. I don't watch Raw as it is. How am I going to watch all of this? How does anyone watch all of this?
You
Do you guys
don't.
have jobs? Do you work?
I work from home, so it's fine. It works out. I can DVR and watch it on the side.
True, I guess.
Yeah, and I still...
It'll just be one less thing I watch. I'll just call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
Like, I'm running out of time between all the indies that I watch now to keep up with my interviews. Like, I'm eventually I already watch Impact, NWA all on delay or on YouTube after the fact. Very seldom do I watch all 3 hours of Raw live. Like, it'll just be something else I watch on my DVR after the fact and fast forward through the bullshit that I don't want to see.
Yeah, that's very true. But we are going to talk about Raw. Specifically, who wore it better, Wilbur Gray? Brock Lesnar or Trish Stratus?
I'm going to go with Trish. She's everything 15-year-old Will wanted and loved about life. And now she's everything that 38-year-old Will loves and wants about life. Just call it what it is. Cowboy Brock, he had me when he was babyface. I love the world. Fuck it, let's wrestle Cowboy Brock. This bad boy, Man in Black Cowboy Brock, it's kind of like when Garth Brooks became a rock singer and changed his name. That's kind of like Brock. This just isn't working for me.
I'm just waiting for Clint Eastwood to show up and shoot him.
Have you ever seen Westworld? That's what it looks like. It looks like Brock Lesnar is cosplaying as a cowboy. Nothing about the way he looks screams real cowboy.
I'm going to call him Lesnar Texas Ranger with this look. But Will Tarashuk, who wore it better, Trish or Brock?
I mean, the man in me wants to say Trish because look at them. Hang on, I got a sounder for it.
Yeah, you do. It's there somewhere. Where is it?
Well, there's one of them.
That's a good one.
Here's the other one.
Look at that titty, though.
I mean, the man in me is just straight up roll tide on that one. But I gotta go Brock. Look at him. He's terrifying. He looks great. He looks like a Red Dead Redemption 2 character. Looks like a main boss.
He does.
It's like if Bill Vanderlyn went to the gym.
He's gonna beat the shit out of John Marston at the end.
John
of this.
Marston is punching the fuck out of him. He says, "What about Sable? My horse Sable!" Like he's just ready to fucking go. Look at him.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
I love how they advertised Brock was going to be on Raw, and that's as close as Brock got to the ring. That shot right there. He barely made it halfway down the ramp. It was beautiful Brock booking. Another thing about Brock, I have to send probably both of you guys this TikTok video I saw. I don't know who it is, but it's this white guy, and he's like, I'm so mad. He's mad about something that happened to him. He goes, the next guy I'm going to see, I'm going to punch in the face. And then he pans to the side, and it's Brock Lesnar. He goes, God damn it, Brock. He goes, the second guy.
The guys from Modern Family,
Yeah.
I fucking
Yes.
love that show.
Yes.
And he keeps every time, and he started the whole thing like 15 years
It's
ago
still
on set for
going.
a TV show. And he does it every time he's on set with Brock somewhere. So it's been like 25 clips of him going, I'm so pissed off. I'm going to beat the shit out of the next. Not Brock, get out of here. Brock, get the fuck out of the way.
The
And he's
second
like,
guy I
shoving
see,
Brock.
I'm going to punch in the face.
And Brock has the same look every time. He's just like, say it again. Say it again.
Yeah, oh my God. Speaking of Brock, let's move on to Cody Rhodes, not in a suit and not giving a sermon this week, but Cody Rhodes really wants Brock Lesnar badly. And for the first time ever, which I didn't think was actually a thing, but apparently it is, for the first time ever, we are going to get Brock Lesnar, Cody Rhodes in Puerto Rico at Backlash. This is clearly going to be the main event. So what are our thoughts on this build? Will the Gray? Ooh.
I hope that for Cody and Brock's sake, that the kids in the crowds don't talk to their abuelas, and remember that in the 70s they showed up to Puerto Rican wrestling shows and threw batteries at the wrestlers.
Yeah, that's true.
Because if they show up and this doesn't go over with the crowd, I don't think Cody or Brock, either one, are prepared to have sea batteries chucked at their head from Puerto Rican wrestling fans.
Dude, Brock will punch every single Puerto Rican until they're like
Brock's gonna fist fight every person in the crowd. That's
they
the
might
match
just
on the
throw
card.
batteries at him for F5ing back, right? Like 3 years ago. So
Brock Lesnar versus the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico. That's just what it says on the card at this point.
That'd be great. And Cody can just start speaking Spanish if he knows any Spanish. He is, or whatever sect of Spanish that people from Cuba speak, because he does have a Cuban mother. So he'll try to blend in somehow. Somehow, I can't wait for this. But the build's interesting. They're still finding a way to keep Cody hot. Brock didn't even touch a security guard during the segment, which was surprising because I saw all that security come out. I was like, oh, I really hope they're paying them double this week because Brock is about to kill all of them. But they didn't touch Brock. Brock just came out in his Texas Ranger suit, laughed at Cody, and left.
He said, I can't
He's
quit
like,
you,
he's
Cody
like, "No."
Rhodes. And then he walked off stage.
Pretty much. The best visual that happened is Cody tried to attack Brock, and he tried to jump in the air, and like a bunch of security caught him mid-air. I was like, that's a beautiful look right there. That must have been practiced. But it was...
That's how he works on his topes.
It's just a bunch of people going and grab him.
Yeah, he's just got like five. Instead of having a crash pad, he's just got like 5 or 6 friends, like QT, and
jobbers.
those guys are like standing around. He's like, all right, guys. And it's like Dirty Dancing. You just see Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, I was gonna say somebody needs to dub over that part of it with the Dirty Dancing song. I had the time of my life, and he puts some in the air.
That's it. That's the move right there.
Now I have that damn song in my head. But the build's going to be interesting. I'm going to see who gets over in this match. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that because, one, Cody loves to bleed, and Brock likes to make people bleed. So
Fair. That's a good
it's
point.
a perfect combination of Brock's going to break Cody the hard way, and that's going to be your lasting footage in Puerto Rico because they can, and they probably will.
Yeah, Cody
So.
wins.
Somehow, a bloody Cody wins. Tell me when you've seen that before, AEW. Moving on, the other cowgirl in there, obviously Trish, going back to heel Trish, probably the best promo I've heard from anybody in WWE in a considerable amount of time, not named Cody Rhodes. What I loved about this, in particular, is that we know the motivation, whereas compared to Brock and Cody, we don't have a motivation at all. But I love Trish came and with all black in her original heel Trish bit. If anybody looked back at the archives, and she was like, "Listen, I can still go. I'm the GOAT. I'm the reason women's wrestling is what it is today," which is arguable. But in promo wise, yeah, arguable Trish. But she's like, I forgot what she said. She's like, "I'm not your." Because I'm just like, I'm not your old person. She's like, I'm not your fantasy. I'm like, Trish, you're my fantasy. I'm sorry.
You're quite literally
Look
the
at that
definition
titty,
of
though.
fantasy.
Yeah, you're a fantasy. But honestly, I loved it. She looked like a pro through and through. Will the Great, what are your thoughts on Trish's heel promo?
I think I'm in the minority here.
Ooh, it's usually me.
I don't think they need this isn't one of those we need the legends to stick around past WrestleMania thing. They've got a lot of really hungry women in that women's division that they could be building right now for a great tag team story. And I think giving the belts to Liv and Raquel, although I think that's a terrible thrown together tag team, I think it's a good faith gesture that they have something coming for that division, because that's obviously a transitional champion. But I think right now they didn't need the legends to stick around past WrestleMania. They've got plenty of hungry people on that talented roster, not counting your Roxanne Perez's and your Indy Hartwells and everybody that's on the NXT side of things, which in my opinion, week to week, sometimes puts together better matches than what the main roster women do.
Oh, that's
week,
totally true. But yes,
occasionally you can squeak a Tuesday in there where the women on Tuesday will outshine the women on Monday and Friday. So I feel like they don't need the legends in this case. It's just kind of, it's the cheap pop to put butts in seats because they know Trish and Lita will sell tickets.
But I don't think Lita's coming back. I think Lita was taken out, and that's goodbye Lita for now, which is fine. Lita doesn't need to do much, but I'll watch Trish any day of the week just to see her walk down the aisle. She doesn't have to do anything in the ring.
Just show up and then walk back.
Just show up, look beautiful like you always have, and keep my hopes and dreams up. That's all. But Will Terrence, what do you think of a return of heel Trish? The only thing missing was TNA with her, Tess and Albert.
Yeah, like TNA would have been better. I don't care, to be honest. I don't care about Trish. I think her promos kind of suck. Her cadence is just like, no one talks like this. Old style promo. It's that she doesn't fit this generation in terms of like her wrestling and her heel work and her mic work. Still looks great. Don't get me wrong. And she's gonna put butts in seats. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, she is.
100%.
Becky, I would rather have Becky wrestle Trish. It's technically a dream match than anyone else in the roster, because the rest of the roster is trash.
Isn't that where we're going? We are getting Becky and Trish.
Yeah,
I would say that's logically where we're about to get.
Yeah,
it's a dream match. That's a dream match. I mean, plus Trish is retired too. It's like you're retired. You already.
She's retired like 4 times. That's fine.
I know it's just stupid. I just don't care for Trish. I see it. I just got nothing.
I see Trish and I got everything. I also love her custom 100% Stratus shirt. Probably because I was there when. Probably because I have a close connection, because I was there when she debuted at the Coliseum. Because she debuted at the Nassau Coliseum, and she literally was a head turner. And if you remember her debut, she came out in like bright highlighter pink and like a sleeveless duster and a pink cowboy hat, and she just stood in the middle of that ramp, and everybody said, "Who the fuck is that?" That was her debut, and the only person who knew who it was Shane, ironically. And look how far Shane's gone. He can't even walk. So where Trish,
he's walked so far he can't walk.
Yeah.
Those McMahon quads, man, they're notorious.
My God, I can't wait till there's gonna be another McMahon. There's gonna be a 3rd generation McMahon in WWE. Is gonna be a performer, and I can't wait to tear his quad in the ring. It's gonna happen.
Shane has 3
one
boys.
of Shane's boys are gonna tear their quad in the ring. It's gonna be one of the greatest things ever, and I'm gonna win so much money.
Somebody's got to bet.
Someone's gotta bet
that
somewhere.
third generation McMahon
We'll go
yeah.
in Terror Quad. Oh, it'll be fantastic. But let's move on from Trish and Brock and who wore it best to my lord, the thick boy, Bronson Reed. Is getting a lot of a good push. He's working with Bobby Lashley. I think there's a lot of potential in this. Will Tarashuk, did you watch Bronson and Bobby, I think, last week?
I saw clips. Yeah, it was pretty. I was like, damn, they're putting these two together. I was about it.
They're so much fun.
Yeah, I was about it. Where's the right sounder for that one? Where the fuck is here it is?
It was meat slapping majesty.
Always relevant, K Murphy. Always relevant.
Always relevant, K Murphy. Listen, I'm a big fan of Bronson Reed. I've always been a fan of the Thick Boys. Whenever Bronson Reed is on TV, it is officially Thick Boy season. And literally, Bronson Reed ended up being one of the best re-signings that Triple H did once he did kind of take control
Yeah, because Strowman
of things.
and Wyatt aren't doing shit.
Strowman's babysitting Ricochet and making sure that he gets to his wedding with Samantha Irving. But when you look at Bronson Reed when he got released kind of inexplicably from NXT, a former North American champion, and he went on a tear all the way to Japan where Okada put him over. Mm-hmm. One of the top 5 best wrestlers in the world today for the past decade said, I'm gonna make this guy start trending and get him an opportunity, and that's exactly what he did. And I don't think there's a better person for him to work with than Bobby Lashley right now, because Bobby, no matter what position he's in, and he's got put in a shit position winning the Andre the Giant, he's gonna find a way to make this work. Will Gray, what are your thoughts on Bronson Reed? Because I feel like you've covered him a lot, especially on his indie days.
Well, I have much love for Bronson Reed, the person. However, sadly, right now, Bronson Reed is in the Botched Spots and Chair Shots Hall of Fame.
Ooh.
He has me currently blocked on all social media. I at first when I saw him come out when he came out of the Indies and into WWE, I hadn't seen a lot of his indie work yet. So when I did start watching him, I didn't see it till it was too late. So when I saw Bronson Reed in NXT, I saw a big guy who didn't know how to work and move like a big guy. And as you guys have seen over the last, 90 minutes or so, like, I don't really have a filter and I don't really give a shit. So
neither do we. That's why we have a show.
Yeah, so I told him, I was like, Bronson Reed would be great if he knew how to work like a big guy. And he didn't like it very much. So I've been blocked for about a year or so by him. But I've since given him roses. I can't tag him or anything because he hates me. But I think Bronson Reed over the last year or so, going to Japan, doing some work on the Indies, doing some work in Mexico, he's shown that, like, the man can work. He's still got some growing to do. He's still young, but I mean, saying somebody's young and green isn't an insult anymore like it used to be, because he can obviously put a match together. He can work, and people are putting him over and giving him, props. So I'll give Jonah his props now. I think we should kiss and make up if he'd give me a chance.
Freds, I want to know, because I don't think you've ever told us the story.
What the
Yes, how did you get blocked by Izzy?
She's a child.
Like, how did you get blocked by superfan Izzy, who, by the way, family, phenomenal people. We've met them multiple times. They've been to some of our tailgates in New York. Really cool down there people. Mom's from Long Island, ironically. But, Fretz, what did you do to get blocked by Izzy? Like, I really need to, like, Jesus, guys. Come on. Like, she's a child. She hasn't even graduated high school yet, I think. She's getting close, though. I think she is getting close. I've never seen Will Tarashuk mark out to an 8-year-old in a burger shop than when he saw Izzy at, what was it, like SummerSlam weekend?
It was a great picture. Yeah. Let's see if I can find it. It's my phone somewhere. Maybe I might have deleted it because it's a little weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it.
Yeah,
It's a
let's
great
see if you
picture.
can find us.
I was so excited. I still the shirt. It was the Bobby Roode shirt. I wore that shirt yesterday. Actually,
Nice, the glorious Bobby Roode shirt. Back when Bobby was a thing and he wasn't Robert. But who knows? Maybe he'll have a glorious return. Let's move on to our final topic. And that topic is: does anybody actually care about Matt Riddle being in the spot that is in? Like, technically, he is kind of in an upper mid card / main event because he's with Sammy and KO. But I feel like a lot of us on this show, and also Matt Ritter,
found it.
also Matt Ritter from Smacking and Raw, don't really care about Riddle. Like, for me, at least, Will the Grey, I think Matt Riddle has lost his luster.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm on team Matt Ritter. Fuck Matt Riddle. I don't. It's not that I don't dislike Riddle as a person or a wrestler. I've said this for a long time. When he came into NXT, he was a badass ex-MMA fighter that also was kind of a skivvy stoner. Now he is like the burnout stoner that kind of looks like he could do MMA. It's almost like he became a caricature of himself. So I don't really give a shit about this version of Matt Riddle.
Yeah, it's hard. He's like what was I gonna say? He's like kind of Sean Penn from Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
That's it. That's a good analogy for it. He's there because he's under contract and they have to use him for something.
And he passed rehab apparently.
good for him.
Somehow. I think the luster's gone from him. It's like it's kind of like Jeff Hardy for me. Like, hey, Jeff's here. Yay? Like, okay, Jeff.
But I kind of view Riddle the same way I do Jeff Hardy. Are you healthy? Are you 100%? Because that's what matters in this situation more than anything.
Yeah.
Because if he's not healthy and he's just going to end up relapsing again, Matt Riddle and Jeff Hardy, neither one are going to get very many more chances. Riddle popped in UFC, Riddle popped in NXT, Riddle popped in WWE. And then you look at the other side of it too. Like, these guys are Jeff Hardy's popped pretty much everywhere since high school. Like,
Yeah.
You're not going to get very many more chances after this, both of them. So I hope for both their sake, they're healthy and ready to go, because this might be the last chance either of them have.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Terrence, like, what do you feel about the return of Matt Riddle? The only surprise we got from the Raw after Mania.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, I'm glad he's healthy, right? I'm glad he's out of rehab. I'm glad he seems to be doing well. But, bro, you were so hot and so over and so ready for your push that you blew it. You got to win that back.
Yeah.
So it's just like, what do you got? Show me something. You gotta win me over again. Like, sorry.
Yeah.
Sucks.
What's important for me, for Matt Riddle, obviously the health and the stability.
Yeah, it's
in
like,
all
I
of
remember
that.
he was going through his shit with the Me Too thing. Like, I was a fan of him. I defended him because like there was not enough evidence, what have you. I still stand by that, but
Oh, and then Riddle kind of shit himself he kind of shit himself when he made that video denying all
Yes.
the allegations. Like, you idiot.
yeah, he handled it very, very poorly. But it's like
Horrible. Yeah.
I don't like.
And WWE stood by him through all of that too. So
And
that's-
I defended WWE for that too. And like but now it's just like, all right, dude, like you've had so many chances and you still fucked it up. Like, come on now, let's be serious here for a second.
Yeah. The one thing that I think is going to either make or break him is Matt Riddle now has to do it without anybody by his side to help him, because the last time when he was over like Rover, he had Randy, and Randy might be the top 10 biggest fuckboy in WWE history. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Randy. Yeah. Randy did. If anything you could do wrong in WWE, Randy did, and he probably did it twice. I mean, Randy is also very public about this. Randy Orton no-showed WrestleMania 21's practice. Okay,
I forgot he did that.
rehearsal with his dad, which is one thing, but the rehearsal with the Undertaker. Okay, he missed his WrestleMania rehearsal spot with the Undertaker, and still lived to tell the story. Okay, and that was the guy that WWE said, take care of Matt Riddle, and Randy tried.
And for a little bit he did.
Yeah, and then he got hurt, and then he was nothing he can do.
Yeah.
But now Riddle really now has to do it on his own because there's going to be nobody there to protect him anymore at all.
Hey man, I'll give him a chance, but right now it's just like I just don't care about Matt Riddle either.
He has to use his own moveset. The guy is doomed.
Hey, what's his regular finisher?
Something bro. It's a bro something.
The Bro Derek. It's like it's a
Styles Clash.
sort of modified version of Styles Clash. Yeah.
That's
It's
right.
a Styles
That's what I
Clash
remember.
mixed with Claudio's finisher, whatever it was. The
It's
neutralizer.
it's a good finisher.
He reaches through and grabs a big handful of dick.
It's a Gotch
and then
neutralizer,
he
yeah.
jumps on their face.
Yeah,
That's all he does.
It's
That's
the Gotch neutralizer, which is the same thing Claudio does.
He should have what they should have done. They should have just rebranded him, give him a new character, give him a new gimmick, not a new name, just a new gimmick. Just like I'm looking at that 420 bro shirt. I go, cool.
It is 420 tomorrow.
Like I said, it is 420 tomorrow.
It is
Like I see a
420
420 bro
tomorrow.
shirt. It's like, oh, they're doing this again.
Yeah.
It's like okay,
There
right?
needs to be a tweak.
Cool.
It's like, oh, okay, cool, same old stoner.
Yeah, WrestleMania hangover is in full effect. Is it football yet?
Yeah.
Only a few more weeks. We're almost
Listen,
there. The draft's
the
almost.
XFL is still going on, and the USFL just started. There is football to be had. I didn't say it was good football, but there is football to be had in different places. But yeah, Matt Riddle, there's got to be something that's got to change with him. My concern is I don't know if he can play anything else.
God, a violent coke addict would be pretty awesome, though. I'm not gonna lie, that'd be really good.
I just don't think he can
And it
play
would-
anything else. Serious, like he's not a good promo. Still,
God,
It'd be
Okay,
a
who would-
WWE
who would-
thing too to put him in there as a violent coke addict. They'd be like, you wouldn't have to act anything. Just go out there and act like
who
yourself.
would be his coke dealer? And tell me why it's Tozawa.
listen,
Wow,
Tozawa
that's
does
100%.
Tozawa does more with less TV time. He is always
Oh my
hysterical.
god, him making fun of Corbin was amazing. I laughed so hard. I was like, that's why you have a job, kid. No one likes you. Ah!
He got his paycheck. He got his paycheck.
It was so good. It was so good.
Taekwon says it's the LWO supplying him.
Yeah. 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 That's pretty on point right there.
It's pretty topical given, world news.
Or it's Tony Khan.
Or it's
Or
Tony.
Tony Khan. That's the swerve. That's the double turn nobody expects. Is Tony Khan as Matt Riddle's drug dealer?
Listen, that is my if they release Riddle, which also could potentially be possible, and he'll show up at AEW and just be a total wreck of himself, because Tony Khan won't be able to handle him.
Dude, he would crash so hard, Jeff Hardy would fall off the wagon with him.
Jeff Hardy versus Matt Riddle in a falling off
Like
the
a
wagon match.
Where they're literally battling on a wagon that's being
In a falling off the wagon counts anywhere match.
a Vince Russo classic. Yeah.
Yeah.
First one to literally fall off a wagon. It's being towed by like Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs or something like that. First,
Remember that the hay bale match they had with Dustin Rhodes and it was in the back of like a hay truck.
Oh yeah.
Let's bring that back.
oh my god! But yeah, hopefully Matt Riddle is okay. So that pretty much ends our show for this week. But before we end the show, I want to preview next week's show. So next week, or a week from Friday, WWE is going to be doing their first night of their draft because they think they're topical and can beat the NFL. Well, I'm here to say that we are probably going to do it better. So next week, Kings of the Rings podcast, myself, King Ricky Rose, Will Terrashock, and our host Kyle from the Apron Bump podcast are going to be doing our own Kings of the Rings draft sponsored by Wrestle Addict Radio, where we will be drafting Raw, SmackDown, and because there is a third person on the show next week, NXT as well. I don't know who's going to get who. We'll figure it out when we get there. Okay, so the Kings of the Rings draft is going to be our show next week, where we are going to be drafting Raw, SmackDown, NXT fantasy style, so anybody can go anywhere, unlike what WWE is probably going to do. But anybody can go anywhere, so we're gonna find out who can build the best roster and let you guys decide who has the best show moving forward. So again, myself, King Ricky Rose, Will Tarashak, and Kyle from the Apron Bump. He is not Willer Yuta. We'll probably say about 1,000 times. He is not Willer Yuta, but it is Kyle from the Apron Bump.
But he's
But yeah, we'll be joining us, and we'll probably have to make it a rule, but Kyle does have to draft Wheeler Yuta to his show. Just because. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, that is the end of our show this week. So first and foremost, I want to thank Will Gray from Botched and Chair Shots podcast and blog to being a part of the show. You were fantastic. We'd love to have you back anytime you're available when you're not interviewing half of the indie scene. But before we leave, is there anything that you want to plug right now?
Once again, thank you guys both. Ricky and Will, for having me and letting me into your realm for the night and hanging out and chatting about some wrestling. I am the Will Gray. I'm the host and lead writer of Botch Spots and Chair Shots. You can find us at botchspotsandchairshots.com. If you're feeling inclined to check us out live, you can see us on the Rivet City Radio Podcast Network on Twitch and YouTube.
Very, very nice. Very nice. So definitely check them out. It is a fun time, like I said. Fretz did the Night 1 recap of WrestleMania. I did the history of the European title. All fun shows, and definitely give these guys a listen to, because Will Gray's always working on something. You're always working, always interviewing something. You are a dedicated man. We're gonna have to talk to you on our post show, and I hope you stick around for the post show, because I do have some Shep questions for you, and we're also gonna play a game called Am I the Asshole? Always a fun time. So, Will Tarashak, are you ready, sir? Let's do it.
Yep, let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to Kings of the Rings podcast, episode number 337, The Botch Spot. We had Will Gray from Botch Spots and Chair Spots podcast and blog on our show, providing some amazing commentary, even though he's a Tennessee Volunteers fan. I am your host, King Ricky Rose. You can formally find me on Ambassador Bigs across all social media outlets. Find Kings of the Rings podcast at KOTR_podcast across all social media outlets. Like, share, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review. Buy some of our fantastic merch, some of which I'm wearing right now. The links of all of that are in the description below. If you're listening to us wherever you listen to all of your podcasts, make sure you're subscribed to Wrestle Addict Radio, the cure for the common wrestling podcast, and follow Wrestle Addict Radio's Twitter at addict_wrestle and everywhere else at Wrestle Addict Radio. Will Tarashak.
My name is Will Tarash. That's a T as in Thomas, ARASHUK. All my shenanigans. Talking with Tarashak, my other podcast. So many fun things happen with Talking with Tarashak. Episode 60 airs next week. A good friend of mine, Russell Rhodes. He is a teacher, professor about economics. We talk about college kids and money, the economy. It's interesting. Might be what you think. Might not be what you think. Who knows? So yeah, that's all my shit. You know me. That's what I do.
Yep. So next week's book, don't forget, we are going to have our Kings of the Rings fantasy draft, where we're trying to rebook all 3 shows of WWE, Raw, SmackDown, NXT. It's probably going to take up our entire show, so get ready for a lot of fantasy booking and a lot of really dumb reasoning as to why we picked the people that we picked. So until then, folks, we're going to head over to the post show, but we will see you next week, Wednesday, live here on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Goodbye. Good night. We'll see you next week if you're not joining us on the post show. And oh yeah, one last thing. Fuck you, Slack. You'll never be drafted.
Music.
All right, and welcome to our post show, Will Gray. So literally, we can just BS about anything. Isles and the Isles are going into OT. God damn it, we can't keep a lead for shit, can't we? That's a shame. So you are a Tennessee Volunteers fan. I mean, you're a Tennessee boy, so I can't knock
Makes
you
sense,
for that.
right?
Yeah, good old Rocky Top. Hate that damn song.
I am. Not my alma mater, though. I graduated from Middle Tennessee State.
Okay, they have a solid program for what it's worth.
Yeah, solid. They started in the Sun Belt. They're Conference USA now. When I first started school there many, many years ago, it was the first year they were a Division One program at
Wow.
all. Um, so I date myself there. Fall of 2004 was our first year in Division One ball, and that was my freshman year of
That was my
college.
sophomore year of high
Um,
school.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm old. We established
Not
that
by much,
prior.
not by much.
Um, but it was a lot of fun, and I grew up as a big Orange fan. It was kind of that lifeblood. Do you guys know the South? The running joke is the only thing the South gives a shit about, or football and
Yep.
church, really, and
Yep.
that's kind of the truth in a lot of
Yes, it
ways.
is.
And so I grew up as a UT Volunteers fan. Then when the Titans came in, they were in my backyard, so I became a Titans fan because of
It's still a
that.
forward pass. That's all I'm
85.
saying. It's still a forward pass.
Yeah. Oh, for the Mystic
Yeah,
Miracle,
it's still
you're
a forward
wrong.
pass. I don't
It
care
was
what it says.
no, it was
It's still a
not.
forward pass. No, I get. I was a UT fan for a day last week or last year because as a Gator fan, I hate Florida State. I despise UT every what is it, third week in September or something, whatever the rivalry used to be called. Um, and
Yeah, it's the third
yeah,
Saturday.
third
Yeah.
Saturday in September is literally the name of the rivalry, which I find hysterical. Because we were that simple that we just named it that. But I despise Alabama with a burning passion, and when you guys,
It's really funny how much you hate
I
Alabama.
hate him with a burning. I hate him. I hate Nick Saban. I think he's just Nick Saban just rubs me the wrong way. Kind of like my disdain for Aaron Rodgers as well, just rubs me the wrong way. But when you guys beat Alabama, I was like, victory finally. And then you guys shit the brick against South Carolina.
We'll take what we can, man. The Alabama win was something. The last few years for us have been the perfect story of win the ones you shouldn't, but lose the ones you should.
Sounds about right. Listen, at least you didn't have one of your players throw a shoe in the middle of a game that cost you guys a playoff run. I'm still not over that.
Yeah.
I'm still not over that. I was like, who throws a shoe? At all. You're right, whoever you are, Alice. Nick Saban is Satan. Yes, I totally agree.
That's Allison. That's the executive
Oh,
producer
that's
of our
Allison.
network.
Oh, hi, Allison. Yeah.
Yeah. The boss
Yeah, the
bitch,
boss
as
bitch,
we
yes.
eloquently put it.
Yes, yeah. Nick Saban.
Love to hear
Nick
it.
Saban is absolutely Satan. So you were a chef also for, you said, 15 years?
Correct. When I was going through school, I started in high school at 15 years old as a dishwasher, and then I worked through high school.
Mhm.
When I got to college, I majored in my fraternity for a couple years.
Oh, what frat?
I, Phi Nu Alpha.
Okay.
It's a music fraternity. I started school as a music major.
Okay.
So I went to school for a couple of years, majored in my fraternity, was a big part of the marching band.
Wait till we introduce you to
social care.
Dave.
And so that was kind of my life for a little
Okay.
while. And then, but during that process, college is expensive. I didn't want to live in a dorm forever. So I started cooking again. And by 18, 19 years old, cooking it was more than just, okay, I'm a line cook now. I had started to get positions like junior sous chef and stuff like that. So by 21, I was a sous chef at a Embassy Suites, and that's kind of where it just kind of took off from there.
Okay.
And then from 2021 through 35, when I got sick, I was either a sous chef, executive sous chef, an executive chef, or a food and beverage director for the next 15 years after that point, up until I got sick.
That's pretty wild. So, because I don't want you to reveal anything, but all right. So, what's you probably get access all the time, but what would you say your specialty dish is?
I'm Southern tried and true, man, to the bone.
Oh, so chicken, fried chicken.
Southern comfort specialties are 100% my thing.
Yes.
Nashville is a city known for hot chicken and fried chicken.
Oh, it gives
And
me
I've
such
never
diarrhea.
been shy about the fact that I've said I do the best fried chicken in a city known for fried chicken.
Wow.
I don't put any qualms behind that. When I was in college, I worked for a place called the Chicken Shack. It was a little mom and pop place.
Sounds like it.
I was the only. I guess the most PC way to put it. I was the only Will Gray that worked.
Oh
there.
yeah, you're only white guy. Yeah, you were accepted.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
So so I was definitely. I was taught how to make fried chicken. You know what I mean? Like when I say that, like there's no other way to say it than just to say it like that.
Yeah, no, I understand exactly what you're doing.
But they came from Arkansas. The family was originally from Arkansas. They were just outside of Little Rock towards the Jonesboro area.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of took me under their wing. They taught me how to make their chicken and their greens and all of that. So at 18, 19 years old, that's where I started. So as I've progressed, I've just kind of taken all of that and I've worked at some really nice high-end fine dining restaurants. But at the core of what I do, it's about barbecue, fried chicken, and turnip greens, really, man.
Wow. Okay. So when WrestleMania comes to Tennessee, we're going to be at your place for the tailgate.
100%. I'm here for it without a doubt.
Yeah, we will come knocking at your door, be like, "Where's the food?" We may not even make the show, to be honest with you.
We would only need to go for the first night. We've seen the last few years. Night 2 doesn't matter.
Night 2 does
anymore
not
anyways. As long as
pan
we're
out.
there for night 1, that's the only one that we need to see.
Night 2 does not pan out at all. Oh yeah, wow, that's crazy. Just cooking stuff. So like for as a chef or whatever, or if there's anybody like what's advice would you give to anybody who's like trying to like cook more on like a professional level?
When you say on a professional level, as in like a home cook who wants to step up their game at home, or are you talking about somebody who wants to step into the kitchen professionally to work as a
Let's
chef?
go to like trying to step up their game at home.
If you want to step up your game at home, there's a book that I would suggest getting, and I've got it right here. As I knock my light over.
Because the Yankees can't
This is a
get a
shameless
run.
plug.
Knock yourself out.
Ad Hoc at Home by Thomas Keller.
Okay.
Okay? Ad Hoc is one of his high-end restaurants, and Thomas Keller is one of these guys. He never went to culinary school. He started same way I did in a dishwasher position, worked his way through, and now he's got pretty much so many Michelin stars that are coming out of his fucking ears at this point. He's one of the most decorated chefs on the planet. But Ad Hoc at Home is a technique-based cookbook that takes the stuff they do at these high-end restaurants and puts it in real-world terms for just an everyday, just layman in a kitchen. So what he does is he takes these really advanced techniques and goes, here's how you would do this if you were doing it at home for 2 or 3 people.
Oh.
That's the perfect roadmap for how to do that. If you want to cook at home and make it look like you could do it in a high-end restaurant, that's the book I suggest 10 times out of 10.
Interesting. I might have to delve into that. I've been buying a lot of Marvel books because Marvel's kind of my nerd thing at the moment, but I might have to put that on my list. I invested in an air fryer like over the Christmas holidays.
They are excellent.
Yeah.
Air
I love my air
highly,
fryer.
Highly recommend.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're fantastic. So because it was like $60 on Best Buy, had like a sale. I was like, gone, let's do it right now. Went and picked it up. But yeah, no, I love that thing. And then I also invested myself in Butcher Box, like the subscription meat service. And so me and Butcher Box and the air fryer have been best friends for the past like 4 or 5 months. It has changed the game.
This goes into the chef side of me. I have no problems admitting this, and I'll just be completely honest with you guys. And it'll sound pompous as hell, however you want to say it. Look at me. Judge me all you want. There's 0% chance that I would ever let somebody choose my meat for me. And
that makes sense.
I know that makes me sound like a jerk, but if I order stuff from Instacart or the pickup, like I won't order protein or produce from them because I want to put my eyes on it. I like my tomatoes to be a certain ripeness. I don't want some motherfucker to bring me some green ass avocados that I'm not going to be able to touch for 3 days. Like,
Dude, that's not being pompous. That's just a good palate.
It's good, yeah.
I want to
like,
pick
yeah,
my
it's
shit
great.
out. You know what I mean? Like, I want my tomatoes to feel a certain way, my avocados to be a certain ripeness, my lettuces. Like, do you open up the leaves and look at the lettuce? No, because you're fucking lazy. You're just gonna grab me whatever green leaf iceberg is on top, and I want like the nice lettuce. You know what I mean? Like,
Now,
that's why I'll go look at my own meat and my own produce 10 times out of 10.
well, no, because you were in the
DJ's
field.
mails me food.
When
My
I
food
was
comes
sick,
in the mail.
Allison, she and I lived 4 hours apart. I was in Tennessee, in East Tennessee, in Knoxville, and she lived in Murfreesboro at the time. And when I was sick, I couldn't go to the grocery store, and she would have my groceries delivered to my house for me.
Wow.
And they would just show up at my front door because I couldn't do anything.
True, yeah.
And between like her and my mom and my sister, they would be like, "Hey, groceries." So I'd like open the front door, and there'd be like bags. And I would just like, that's all I had to do is move them the 3 feet from the front door to where the fridge was in the kitchen.
That is absolutely fantastic. No, I get it. That reminds me of just like my dad, because my dad grew up on a farm. So anytime he went like food shopping or anything, he's like eating some of the grapes clearly, but also like,
Obviously.
but also
Grapes
like
poke holes in it.
looking at everything. So anytime I would ever go like shopping for produce and fruits and vegetables and stuff, I'd call him and be like, "What am I supposed to look for?" Because, like, I don't know. I grew up in the suburbs. You did not. Like, what am I supposed to look for?
Yeah. What does healthy food look like?
What does ripeness look like? Like, tell me really quick.
I have friends that'll call me from the grocery store and they'll FaceTime me and be like, what am I looking for here? Like, pick it up and touch it. Like, find this part and poke it with your finger. Is it soft? Then don't get that one. Like, how do you describe to somebody the wrong kind of soft? Like, how do you even like communicate that to another human
That's
being?
true, because especially with fruit, you'll know if it's like too soft. You're like, "Ooh, no, that's not good," and you put it down. You know.
Fred says nobody knows cuts of meat like his dad. Dude, Fred, you said you were a butcher's son.
Yeah.
I've got a cow on one side and I've got a pig on the other with the primal cuts. So your strip loin and your tenderloin and your ribeyes and your like, I've got all the primals on a pig and all the primals on a cow cut out on my ribs right now from when I did 2 different stages and apprenticeships as a butcher. So I got the cow when I left New Orleans, and I got the pig right after I got home from Charleston.
I'm surprised you survived New Orleans, because Will and I have both been to New Orleans. And I don't know how we got out alive.
I was young Will in New Orleans, like 21, 22 years old.
Oh, bless your heart. God.
Allison says she has to send me to the store now because she will never pick out the right things. And that's right. I'm fucking particular. I know that.
At least she's aware. At least she knows. Like, sometimes you just gotta pick your battles. You just gotta pick your battles. Wow, New Orleans in your early 20s. That's a trip and a half, dude. I was in New Orleans.
I was
in my 20s.
I was in my late 20s.
I still in my 20s.
Yeah.
Let's see. That was how many? 2018.
2018. Yeah, New Orleans, because
I was 23.
That was WrestleMania 34. Yeah, New Orleans.
I was 23.
The first time I went to New Orleans was in April of 2005. So literally like 90 days before Katrina happened.
Wow.
And then I went back in 2009.
Wow.
So I was there for what was supposed to be like 3 weeks, ended up being closer to like a month and a half. But I was down there pretty much working for free, just getting experience in kitchens. You can't do that shit anymore. Like, you can't do what I did then because, labor laws and stuff. You can't
rules
walk
and regulations.
You can't walk in the back door of a
bringing back
kitchen
child
now.
labor, so you might be in luck.
Yeah, like back in the day, I could walk in the back door before they open and be like, "Chef, I want to work for you," and they would be like, "Cool." And like, here's a broom. You got your knives? Okay, I need somebody to peel potatoes because my fucking prep cook called out. Like, stages used to be a very real, feasible part of the kitchen life. People would require you to work multiple shifts with them before they ever made you a job offer.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't out of the question for that. So that's what I did. I tried to work I worked it for free, just about anywhere that would let me work. And you know what? I worked for Michelin rated chefs and we got fucking killer experience just because I agreed to work for free.
Listen, man, you hustled. You did what you had to do to get the experience.
And then I was like, fuck it. Let's talk about wrestling for now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, man, no, that is a crazy story. All right, so now, are you guys ready to play Am I the Asshole? We're gonna find out
All right.
based on somebody's anonymous Reddit post whether they are the asshole or not. Posted 15 hours ago. The title of this post says, "Am I the asshole for calling my ex a deadbeat in front of his family?"
Oh God, context, please.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I am a 41-year-old female, have a daughter, Sam, who's 14, with my ex-husband, Brian, who's a 44-year-old male. We divorced when she was 4, so divorced 10 years ago. Brian made a real effort to be a good father for the first couple of years after our divorce, but then pretty much overnight he seemed to lose interest in her. He stopped coming to parent-teacher nights, never came to any of her sports games, and stopped asking about them, refused to pay child support, which I eventually stopped asking for. I have a well-paying job, would forget to pick Sam up on days he said he would, stopped asking to see her at holidays. On the rare occasions he remembered to pick her up, he would try and smooth everything over by buying her expensive gifts, and it worked for a really long time, but it started to wear off now, and Sam is starting to see through it. Sam has maintained a very close relationship with her paternal grandparents. Sam is a very accomplished field hockey player and represented our country internationally recently, and it's likely that she will be on the World Championship team later this year. Didn't know they had one. Although they have like a World Championship like dodgeball. There's a Team USA for dodgeball. Anywho, we returned 2 days ago, and yesterday her grandparents wanted to take her and the rest of the family to lunch to celebrate. Brian showed up 45 minutes late, didn't apologize. His parents were surprised and told him to behave. As Sam was recounting her time and summaries of the matches to her grandparents, Brian interjected and belittled her performance because she only scored 1 goal. Sam burst into tears and ran to the bathroom. I comforted her and she asked if we could go home. I agreed and told her to wait in the car while I got our stuff. When I returned to the table, Brian was defending himself against his parents, and I snapped. I told him he was a deadbeat and recounted all of the things mentioned above, and that I wouldn't be surprised if Sam cuts him loose one day. Our daughter is wonderful and does not deserve to be treated like this. His parents seemed shocked, as he clearly had given them the impression he's a good father. He threw a tantrum and stormed out. I apologized and left money for half the check with his parents. Since then, Brian has sent me several messages, and his parents texted me to say they don't appreciate the C&I calls in the restaurant. I don't think I did anything wrong, but my parents agree with them, so maybe I did. Am I the asshole?
Girl, you're mother of the year.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah, you're not the asshole.
Yeah, you're
Definitely not the
motherfucking
asshole.
year. What are you talking about? Assuming everything she said is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 3 sides to every story. Side 1, side 2, and then the truth.
Correct.
Assuming what she gave us is, even if it's only 75% true, I would still say you're not the majority of the asshole.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah,
if it's only 75% true, you're still not an asshole.
Yeah, I don't think in any way, shape, or form she's an asshole. Even if it is, 75% true, 100%.
So if you take all the history out of it and you just focus on the scene in the restaurant, she's still not the asshole. Like, take all the history out of it.
I will give the one leeway there, right? If it's like, it depends how he said it. Like, oh, you only scored 1 goal. Like, if he's just playing around fucking with her. But
it's not about
that's just context. But in the context of everything else,
Yeah.
she says it's more believable to say he actually meant like intent and harm with the comment.
Yeah, but it's sometimes it's not about how you say the message. It's more about how the message is received.
Exactly.
And
nothing pisses me off more than the deadbeat dad.
Yeah.
Like, that guy is not a fucking man, and I genuinely want him to die.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't want him to die, but it genuinely makes me angry.
Yeah. No, and like it's also like that's your kid. Like, they were happy that they got the experience at a high level. Like, I would have loved to play on a world team or like an international team representing like USA in something. That's not something you kind of just belittle your kid. Oh, well, you only did this, so you're not good enough, because that's probably how she received it.
As somebody who's had to co-parent, it's not easy in any capacity. No matter what relationship you have with your ex, co-parenting is never easy because you're dealing with 2 separate sets of families, 2 separate sets of emotions, 2 separate sets of everything.
Yeah.
So when you look at it from that perspective, like, it's such a tough thing to do anyways. Then you take on top of it, like me, I have to, I fight tooth and nail to get everything I can with my kids.
Yeah.
course.
And when I see it, and I'm like, there are deadbeat dads out there that don't have to fight, nobody gives a shit. They get whatever they want. And then I'm like, I'm a good guy. I've got my shit together. And then I see those guys out there, and I'm like, man, that's why deadbeat dads piss me off. Is because the system doesn't always take care of the good guys the way it's supposed to.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And I'll get off my soapbox. This isn't the platform. Like, Tennessee is a mother state for sure.
Oh, it's one of those. I know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
What does that mean, a mother state?
They'll side with the female more so than the male, no matter what.
Yeah, the most PC way to put it is, in the state of Tennessee, even a paternal father through marriage loses, 80% of the time in the state of Tennessee to a mother, almost no matter the situation.
Oh yeah, that's most states. That's most states.
Yeah, but Tennessee is notoriously known for being a mother's rights state. So, but like I said, my kids have a great mother. That's not what this is about. Yeah, the system is kind of fucked up though.
Yeah, no, that's overall is that it swings more so, regardless of situation, swing more to the mother than the father. Like I said, regardless of the situation surrounding the parenting of a child and everything like that. That's a common thing. There's a lot of people, even comedians, have talked about it as well, about how it just kind of swings one way. All right, I'm trying to find another one. That was good. I actually found it. Where was it? This is a good one. I think it's going to be a good one, even though this person says English isn't his first language. However, it says, am I the asshole for being annoyed at my girlfriend after she turned off the power during her cooking while I was gaming?
Wait, one more time?
It doesn't make sense, but I think we'll find. He said, am I the asshole for being annoyed at my girlfriend after she turned off the power while I was gaming? I don't think he meant during her cooking, but we'll find out. He goes, English is not my first language, so sorry for the possible bad grammar. Because I'm a 24-year-old male. I've been dating Helen, who's a 22-year-old female, for 2 years, and we moved in together 2 months ago. Ooh. This is my parents' old house. My parents gave it to me when I moved out of the family home 5 years ago. Helen and I are very happy with this house because it's comfortable and well located. There's just a little problem with the kitchen. There are 2 ovens, one big and one small. The small one works well, but sometimes the big one cuts off the power when it switches off. You have to just turn the power back on the meter. It is not every time, maybe once in 5 times, but to avoid that, I always use the small oven, which is morbid enough when I was living alone. When Helen moved in, at first, we took turns cooking, but she quickly insisted to manage the cooking alone. She thinks my cooking is a bit too basic. Her parents own a restaurant, so I guess she has higher standards and she cooks better than me. I once suggested that we could cook together sometime so I could improve, but she doesn't want to because she finds me too messy in the kitchen. I see you're chuckling, Wilbur Gray. I feel like sometimes you have these concerns. I warned her about the big oven and prioritized the smaller oven, or the smaller one, or to let me know before using the big one. I like to play Football Manager on my PC before dinner, and it would be a shame to have the power cut off at this moment. If she tells me beforehand, I can save my game in case the power goes out. 2 weeks ago, Helen used the big oven without telling me, and the power went out while I was playing my video game on my computer. I gently reminded her to warn me next time, and it's okay. I had saved a few minutes before, and and that everybody forgets or messes up sometimes. Yesterday, she wanted to make cookies and used the big oven again without telling me. I was playing my game on my PC, and I hadn't saved for several in-game weeks. So he was playing like Dynasty mode and hadn't saved on a week-by-week basis, which is dumb.
That's user error.
Yeah, which is dumb. So it was all lost. I was annoyed and I asked why she didn't warn me. Instead of apologizing, she said aggressively to get over it, but I shouldn't get upset about that stupid game. After all, cooking for dinner was much more important. I got angry and answered that she shouldn't disrespect my hobbies like that, and she should just enjoy her so much more important dinner alone, and I stormed off. I went to visit my friend who's 24 years old and a male to vent, and I ended up sleeping there. I told her girlfriend by message that I will sleep there and it's best to talk tomorrow. My friend thinks that Helen messed up and is in the wrong, but this morning I received a text from a friend of Helen calling me a huge asshole. After reflecting about it, I started to feel bad. Maybe I did overreact, or was I completely in the wrong? So am I the asshole?
Oh, this one's tough. So it kind of goes a little bit what we were talking about last week, Ricky. When it comes to gaming or any kind of hobby in a relationship, right? For someone who's in one, you got to treat both with respect, and you got to toe that line very carefully. I'm someone who would game all day, every day if I didn't have a job. That's what I would do. I would sit in this chair and play my fucking video games. However, I have a job, and I have a girlfriend, and I have responsibilities, so that can't happen. Now, gaming is very, very important to me. It's how I unwind. It's how I relax. It's something I like to do before bed. But I also like spending time with my girlfriend, and she likes spending time with me, and she likes watching TV every night. So we have a thing called it's our us time. It's 9 o'clock, it's 10 o'clock, or it's 11 o'clock every single night, where I get off TV, she stops working, or whatever the fuck it is she does, and we just hang out together.
Do you not know what she does?
And we have flex time. So like today it's 10 o'clock because it's past 10 o'clock. Right, but like last night, it would be 9 o'clock because sometimes I didn't feel like gaming, or there was no one on, or she wanted to fucking do something.
Yeah.
So you gotta, it's a give and a take. So are you an asshole for storming off because you turn off your video game? Yeah, you're a fucking asshole. Is she an asshole for turning off your video game? Yeah, she's an asshole. It's all about the balance.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
I'll say that because both are a little bit wrong. It's user error. Save your shit more often. Set your auto saves up. Like it's 2023. If you're a serious gamer at all and you lose a game based on not saving enough,
that's your fault.
That's on you.
Yeah, that's your fault.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, that's on you, bro. It's on you.
I think the whole triggering the thing because of the food, even giving the girlfriend one step further is like, it's a priority of life thing. Like she shouldn't have to get permission to use the oven to provide supplement for the family to make sure he's not playing his PlayStation. Like there's an order of operations here, I feel like.
Well, it's like also how is there wasn't enough power to do both. Was that the
So
problem?
no,
it was flipping the breaker apparently.
Yeah, the big oven
so-
uses too much power, and it sometimes it flips the breaker. Yeah.
Where do these people live?
He didn't say.
He didn't say, because that's fucking crazy. Now
I get it. I mean, honestly, this is once again, I'm just going to pull it out of my back pocket, but I know people that have taken, like, in a standard operating house, I think it's like your outlets are 110 watts.
Yeah.
In a big oven, like you would get in a commercial kitchen, runs on a 220, which is double the size. Think of like the dryer. Your dryer electrical outlet, the big fat stupid one that you're like, why the fuck does it look like that? That's because it's
It takes so much power.
Yeah, a lot of industrial equipment need to do that, and when people try to wire it for their houses, it's stupid, but they'll wire it to run on a 110. And when you do that, you can blow your shit out of your house. And I think that I give them the benefit of the doubt, and they're not living in like, you know, on 1970s like coil style breaks.
Still very
crazy.
possible.
Like I would probably say that's something.
I just can't picture a PlayStation taking over that much juice. Like my computer right here, I have to plug it into the wall by itself. I can't have anything else plugged in or a surge protector plugged in because it takes so much power.
Yeah, but he's on
just to
PC.
fucking turn on. I know I'm on PC.
Yeah.
He said it was a PlayStation.
No, he said it was PC.
Oh, he said it was PC.
It's not a matter of the PC drawing it. It's 1,000% going to be the fucking.
Oh
oven
yeah.
here,
Oh,
because,
I know, of course, but the
Yeah.
fact that to turn the TV the PC off would cause that much power to make the oven work is pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Like,
It
like,
might
out
be a
of all the
super
things to
small
turn
house,
off.
maybe too, where there's only like 2 breakers on the entire place. Maybe the living room, the dining room, the bathroom, and the kitchen all run on 1 breaker, and then the bedroom and like maybe there's only like 2 breakers for the entire house. I
Yeah.
lived in a little shitty 1-bedroom apartment when I was single that was like that. It was literally like 3 breakers. It was the back of the apartment, the middle of the apartment, and the front of the apartment, and that was it. Like
I'm
there
also
wasn't.
not a homeowner, so I could completely talking on my hands.
You're like, as a matter of fact, I don't know what are we even doing right now. Like,
I mean,
are we
to
still
be
live?
fair, like I have no idea how wiring a house works.
No, but it is true, and it's just He got mad, and like for a second, like what confused me a little bit was that he initially said she wanted to make cookies and she made it in the big oven, which could also be a small oven thing too. But then he said she was trying to make dinner. So I'm also confused on which one was it. Was it cookies or was it dinner? Because that might change my opinion.
Cookies for dinner.
Cookies for dinner is also a viable option.
Dude,
What it comes down to is this couple is just bad at communicating about this particular thing.
Yeah.
And that's I don't know how long they've been dating, but that's just a couple's thing. It's something he's got to learn. You got to learn to communicate. Like, I'd literally sit her Jazz down and be like, listen, gaming is very important to me. I'll make this compromise right here and right now. Good, we're done. Bye. The game is on.
Yeah.
But you got to have that conversation.
Yeah.
You got to respect the boundaries.
Yeah, no, you gotta have to, especially when you start moving in together. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's different.
especially because we live together. Yeah, when she was in Jersey City, I'd be like, "Hey, you're not here. I'm just gonna sit in this chair all day, all day. Assassin's Creed ain't gonna beat itself, sweetie. You want to come over? Try tomorrow."
By the way, I did notice, Will the Great, all of your, what was that, Fallout dolls that you have to your right?
Yeah, that's our podcast network. When it was just Botch Spots and Chair Shots, everything was Botch Spots and Chair Shots.
Yeah.
But we were like, we've got the Dirty Belly show now, which is I've got a show that's two chefs. One is a retired chef, stay-at-home dad, and a farmer now.
Nice.
And the other one is a chef de cuisine at a fine dining restaurant. So two very different perspectives of the culinary world. I produced that show for my two buddies. We've got that. We've got the Boss Bitches Trivia Hour we do on Thursday nights. We've got Tea and Hot Takes, which is my interview series, and Botch Spots and Chair Shots.
Yeah.
So we went from one show to like 5 shows. So we transitioned everything from Botch Spots and Chair Shots over to Rivet City Radio. In the Fallout canon, Rivet City was this catch-all in Fallout 3.
It's in DC. DC, yeah.
Yeah. So it was this catch-all that had a general store and, a restaurant, living quarters, and it was just this universally acceptable communion place for everybody. And when we were like, what are we going to call the network? And we said Rivet City Radio because it was kind of a catch-all. We've got a chef show, a trivia show, a wrestling show, an interview show. Allison is about to start hers, which is the Boss Bitch Power Hour, which is going to be just
sounds fucking fantastic.
Empowered women bitching about life, and that's how she puts it. Those are her words, not mine.
That's a great tagline.
So like we've just kind of evolved. We started with just us, and now as we go into year 3, we've gone from 1 show to 5 shows.
Mm-hmm.
So Botch Spots and Chair Shots evolved into Rivet City Radio because of necessity, because we started picking up these other assets and our friends came on board. Real similar to Wrestling Addicts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like real similar to what you guys do with multiple shows under one umbrella. Rivet City Radio is like that, but we've got a chef show and a trivia show. We've got a fantasy football show.
Nice.
It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, that was like the original idea that we were going to have before we essentially inherited Wrestle Addict Radio, because it was given to us. So originally, I know Will's remember this. Will was in the process. We were going to make essentially Kings of the Rings podcast was going to be the flagship for Kings of the Rings network. And so the concept was that we would have different kingdoms, and the different kingdoms would be different subject matters. So again, Kings of the Rings podcast. Then you'd have a podcast about something else somewhere else, and all this other stuff.
We had one of my friends from high school at the time started a podcast called "Don't Tell Anyone."
Joey, right?
My friend Joey.
Yeah.
Shout out to Joey. He's had people come on and tell embarrassing stories about themselves, which I thought was excellent. I thought it was a very great idea.
The DTA podcast, yeah.
Yeah, and then I had me and my friend Shrew did a sports podcast. We called it Schroeder and the Duck.
Yeah.
And that didn't last, thank God.
Yeah, and I was doing an on again, off again. I'm still doing an on again, off again podcast called Tales of an Epic Nature. Where it's just it's just kind of misleading because it's literally just basic ass stories, but
they are good stories, though.
Yeah, no, very good stories. A lot of them is about recounting things from that happened in my life, also told by people who were there with me in the time, and then sometimes I will do a solo show where I'll just kind of just talk to you and just have a conversation about whatever's going on in my head. Tales of Every Nature is a masterpiece from time to time. And sometimes it's really funny, sometimes it's really morbid and sad, depending on my mood. It's like my Kid Cudi project from time to time, if anybody knows about Kid Cudi.
And that shit just stopped real quick.
What, Kid Cudi? Or Tales?
No, well, yeah, Kid Cudi too, actually. No, like the whole King's Rings network, and it became Wrestle
Yeah,
Radio.
What ended up happening was that we were really gung ho about doing our own network. This is around, I think, episode 100. We were going to announce, hey, we're going to do the network, and this was around early 2018, actually, or before WrestleMania 34. We actually drove down to Philly for the Royal Rumble that year. We did NXT TakeOver Philly, a masterpiece of a show.
God, what a show! That Gargano Andrade match.
Oh my God, fantastic. We were I had surprised Will and our other host Dave because I bought suite tickets for everybody. So we were sitting in a luxury suite watching TakeOver.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And then we did the Rumble in the club level too, which is also fantastic. That same weekend is when we met the Rant with Dan podcast. And Ant DeStefano, one of the bigger names at the time in the wrestling podcast world. And I just went up to him. We met Issa, the Demon Diva, that same weekend as well. I just went up to him, slipped us our really shitty business cards at the time. And
so shitty.
Yeah. He ended up listening to us, liking us. He met up with us and did like this ad hoc of a show in New Orleans from our rental home in New Orleans, and we did a little WrestleMania preview show with him. And then
that was fun.
It was really fun because we were all hungover trying to talk about wrestling.
Sometimes those are the best shows.
Yeah,
man.
he ends up loving us, and he's like, "You remind me of me when I first started." He's like, "I want to bring you into the Wrestle Addict Radio." So he brought us in, and by episode 100, he opened up the show, kind of like in a Vince McMahon buys a WCW type of thing. And
I forgot we had him do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was mad. That was a flex straight up. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, and we were like, yeah, we were going to do our own network, but that's canned now. And then we became a part of Wrestle Addict Radio. Ant then retired a couple years later, and he gave the keys to the city to us, and we've kind of just kept the machine going by just bringing people in. Like, we've had a couple of podcasts come in and out, but we try to just bring people in who feel like they have the right spirit, and we let them talk about anything. I was like, the crazier the better. Like, some of my friends are like, I want to talk about NXT UK. I'm like, go for it. I don't care.
That's kind of like us and our concept. We just want to be... have you ever seen the movie Pirate Radio?
I have not, but I feel like I've heard of it.
No, I've never heard of it.
Okay, the whole concept is it's based off of a British rock and roll radio station in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And what they did was they positioned a boat just outside of the international water borders, and were illegally transmitting using radio transmitters, an RF, or an FM radio.
That's amazing.
They called the Pirate Radio, and they became one of the most popular radio stations in like the metropolitan London area because of this. And the government became involved and was like, they rushed them out of the water so they would get far enough away they couldn't transmit anymore. And like, it's this hilarious story. So we were like, when we started Rivet City Radio, year one, we were completely alone and independent, building an audio only following on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
We joined Smacked Raw, not Smacking It Raw, but Smacked Raw, which is the Rewind and UWO, like the Kai Tai Show and RN. We joined with them for about 8 months, and they kind of put our training wheels on us as far as doing videos and streaming and stuff like that. And we were with them up until January. And this past January of 2023 was when we started our own YouTube and our own Twitch, and we started posting again. And we were like, and then the chefs talked to me and the trivia happened. And it just kind of snowballed over the last 60 days into what it is now. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. There's anything that we can any information we can provide you, where I'm always a resource, Will's always a resource, because we've had a lot of ups and downs. We've tried stuff, we've failed at some stuff. Kind of, I think the biggest thing, and I think Will would agree, our biggest thing is that get yourself as many places as possible.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We know where our bread and butter is. Our audio listens on Spotify and Apple Music. We were ranked in Canada on their Apple Podcast
Yeah,
rankings for over a
Canada.
month and a
Listen,
half. Like it's a huge wrestling market. So I
love
was
the
hyped
wrestling
for
market
that.
and they love wrestling podcasts. Our
Yeah.
first major fan was a Canadian.
So that was kind of cool, you know. So we know
All of
where
our
our bread
major
and
fans
butter
are
is.
That's
Canadian.
very true.
Like so we focus on Spotify a lot, but Twitch is fun. We just got what's it
Are
called?
you Twitch affiliate status?
Yeah, we just got affiliate. We got affiliate.
Be careful with that, by the
My
way, because they.
we're only using it right now, just to kind of figure out what our next step is, because a lot of people are kind of in between that steps of is everybody going to move to short content based stuff.
Mhm.
Our audience is so set in the audio listens that we're almost kind of shoehorned there, because no matter what, our audio listens audience makes up such a large percentage of our audience anyways, that if YouTube or Twitch or anything disappeared, Botch Bots and Share Shots is made to stand on its own, because that's where we started.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Was just as an audio only platform.
Mhm.
So that's still where our bread and butter is. I still release audio only interviews and stuff. A lot of times when I do them with like Impact or NWA,
Yeah.
if I do them in person, it's hard to do video podcasts in person. So we'll just do audio only interviews for that stuff.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. The one advice that will potentially a cautionary tale, but I'll still stick to it, is that try, if you, even though it might be fun, and I still think it was fun, be careful if you try to work your audience.
Don't do it.
I still stand by it. It was a fun artistic. It was a fun artistic experiment.
Don't do it. Don't insult your audience.
It wasn't
That was a
insulting. It
mistake.
was just funny. I thought it was funny.
They thought it was insulting.
Yeah, they thought it was insulting. Whatever. Well, we also had a great little rebuttal to him as well. So essentially, what happened is, this was around the time that WWE first got into contract with the Saudi Arabian government to putting on the shows and everything and stuff like that. So we had me, Will, and Dave at the time had a conversation that turned into a shoot.
I was legitimately very bad.
Yeah, it turned into a shoot. And so like we didn't edit the footage, we just posted it. Okay. And so then we kind of hashed it out throughout the week. And
Were we on video?
no,
back
we
then?
were not. It was a straight audio.
I didn't think so.
But there were people who knew us in real life. Like Wade knew us in real life and all of that stuff.
Right, yeah.
So we just posted it, and people were like, "Whoa, what's going on?" And then the next week, Will had a work thing to go to, so it was just me and Dave at the time doing the show. So Will was like, "I was like, how are we gonna cover?" And I think one of us said, "Just say that you're still upset and you're not gonna be on the show." Or whatever, and the whole actual premise is that Will had to go to like a work event on like a yacht in New York City or some bullshit, and so we played.
I got drunk as fuck. It was fun.
Yeah, so Dave and I just did the show, and then after the show, and I'll take ownership. I was like, wait a minute, I think we can run with this. So that's when we started to devise the plan. I was like, what if we turn this shoot into a work? And so that's what we ended up doing. Will and I started a Twitter war with each other all
I
month.
never tweet.
Yeah.
I deleted my Twitter.
Well, now you did.
Years
Yeah.
ago. Years
but
ago.
at the time, Will and I started.
I probably deleted it after the work, to be
Will
honest.
and I started a Twitter war with each other that got a lot of our core fan base involved, because they were all like, what's going on? They started questioning us individually about what's going on. And then what ended up happening was, to start the next show, I cut a promo on Will talking that he was
That's
It was
awesome.
pretty good. He sent it to me beforehand. I'm like, that's pretty good.
that he was fully aware of. He was fully aware of it, and so I cut a promo and I said, I'm taking over, this is my show, and I called it the new Kings of the Rings podcast, because it was around the time that Daniel Bryan was like the new Daniel Bryan. And so
Yeah.
we had our logo, and then I made this
The
really.
logo is still
made
the best. I'm not gonna lie, the logo is the most.
It was
worth
it was an older logo that we had, and then I just put that stupid ass like type print like on it in diagonal and said
like on tape.
Yeah, on tape, and it just said
It's like a post-it
and
note.
it just said the new. That's
That's awesome.
all it was. And so I do a show without Will. We event, and then it continues for like a month. We continue on to the next show. Before that we went to an Evolve event. So me, Will, and Dave had already agreed to go to an Evolve event.
I am proud of this part,
Yeah.
though. I'm not gonna lie. This part's
Me,
a
Will,
good
and
part.
Dave had all agreed to go to an Evolve event. And so at the center of the story was Will and I were mad at each other. And that we had, and that I had taken over the show and all of that. And one of our good friends of the show and just good friend all around, Wade, came to the Evolve event. Now Evolve was doing things with Shine or Shimmer, actually, Shine or Shimmer or whatever it was. And so Dave and I went to see that event, and so we were cool. Then Will shows up for Evolve, and we're all kind of talking, and then we notice Wade show up to the event. And so once Wade shows up, Will and I stop talking. I cut Wade off at the pass, and he's like, "Oh my god, I heard your promo, dude, that was really dope." Wade gives Will like the meanest side eye I've ever seen. Like he is
I didn't know that.
Totally worked. He was totally worked. We continued to watch the event together. So we're all sitting with each other, myself, Will, and Dave. And Dave is in between myself and Will. So every time we want to have a conversation, it looks like we're talking to Dave while we're watching the event. So that's how we ended up communicating. The event ends, and literally we all leave the venue in 3 different directions. So no one knows what's going on, especially Wade, who was there, who is totally worked at this moment. We do the next podcast episode, just like it was before. I'm hosting, blah, blah, blah. And I go, we're going to go to commercial break. We edit the episode so that it sounds like Will, hack the feed. And Will cuts a promo. He's like, "Yeah, you should probably change your fucking password." And he just cuts a promo on me. And then the feed goes back into the show like I'm not aware. And it got to the point where one of our friends, Bones, calls me. He's like, "Dude, did you listen to the show this week?" He's like, you might want to change your passwords."
That's awesome.
Now, the only reason I say don't do it, because I'm starting to realize, because everyone in this story felt really stupid after it came out, and that's why it didn't work.
Yes.
Because we also kicked off the next show with Brianna's work.
We did. What ended up happening?
That also.
This was leading into WrestleMania 35. And we were going to have a giant little gala event with everybody else from the network. And our boss at the time, Ann, a.k.a. Ramon Ann, was like, yeah, you guys should probably get it together before you do. So like, all right, we got to end. And so here's what we did. We ended up opening that show with a joint promo, like a prepared statement from all of us. Kind of in the same vein of how DX made a prepared statement to the USA Network. So we used that pompous and kind of asshole-less way to say it, and then we kind of said, like, to everybody who's upset that they got worked, and we were just like, you watch a fake sport for a living. What did you expect was going to happen?
My line was, you watch a fake sport for entertainment, with storytelling, we were just following suit.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That was the line. I think that's what got people. It's like, oh, fuck you.
And then
Which, to be honest, I probably wrote that with the reaction of expecting, oh, fuck you.
You expected them to go, fuck you.
And then...
No, I didn't know what to expect. It was bad. It was a bad reaction.
And then the show started out playing Rihanna's Work, and it's just Rihanna saying work, 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 work for like 30 seconds.
Dude, it was bad.
I've never seen
Mr.
Don't Fretz so angry at us.
It hurt.
Like we were getting personal messages. Fretz was like, if anything happens, like, I'm still gonna listen to your show, man. Like, I still support you. Hope you guys can work it out. Slack got involved in our argument, which was easy for me because, like, all right, I can just bash this kid again now publicly on a Twitter feed.
I was like, Slack, don't fucking ruin this, please.
Oh man, it's one of my favorite things I've ever done. Backlash aside, I enjoyed the fuck out of it because I was like, wow, we were able to actually have this work. No pun intended.
I mean, it was fun doing it. I'm not gonna lie. It was really fun doing it, but the way it ended up in the results, it was a
No,
big
people were
mistake.
so mad. People were so mad.
So mad. You made your audience feel stupid, man. Never make your audience feel stupid unless they are stupid.
Gentlemen, I hate to cut this short, but I need to go get something.
Oh no, we're gonna go. We're
Yeah.
gonna go as well because I gotta actually produce the shortened the actual episodic version of this. and then
The
the
Yankees
stream.
walk it off. Glaber hit a walk-off sacrifice fly.
All right, Glaber. There you go. Just keep your job. But Will Gray, thank
Thank
you.
you guys very, very much.
Thank you as well. We're gonna have to share. I have a PlayStation, so I'm gonna get your gamer tags and all of that stuff on the Twitter sphere and everything. So let's end this stream, and we'll see you guys later. Peace.
Thank you guys very much.
Pleasure is all ours.
Midnight music.